Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
And in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about theories and predictions. Our own, your theories, and just some interesting ones we could find across the internet. And I'm going to let Dylan take over whenever we switch over to the main topic segment, and he'll explain in more detail about what exactly we'll be doing there.
Yep, I'm very excited for to discuss all of this today. So I think it's going to be a good episode. I'm not sure how long it'll be, but we're I think we have a good amount of content for you guys today.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun topic, I think. I'm excited to talk about it. So then, of course, we will be going through our community comments. If you would like to join in on the community and have your comments read, be sure to comment on the YouTube version, either on the video or the community post. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to help grow our community of Hunter x Hunter fans. If you're an audio listener, for the time being, feel free to email us at hunterassociationpod@gmail.com. That's the only way right now. I'm sorry.
Again, if there is interest in a Twitter account of some sorts, let us know. We don't want to make it if no one's going to follow it, obviously.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
As always, I have provided timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any of the aforementioned segments. And at the end of the show, by the way, we will be talking about some show news about what we'll be doing in the coming weeks now that chapters are going to be resuming, which, by the way, guys, next week, yeah, oh my God.
Officially a week away. It's pretty crazy time.
It is surreal. And what is also surreal is the amount of support we got on last week's episode, guys. That was crazy. Thank you so much. We were not expecting that at all.
Yeah. Surreal is like one way to put it, but I don't know if there's really any words that can describe the feelings. Me and Cage both went through seeing the amount of support that video received. Just a couple of numbers to throw out there for perspective. It is by far our most viewed video on the YouTube, with 6.3k views. For reference, the previous record was like 800 or 900 before that video got uploaded. So that support was immense, and then we gained a ton of subscribers for the channel as well. The fun stat for that is we were at around 50, 55, somewhere in that ballpark right before the video got uploaded. We are currently sitting at 230 subs for the YouTube, and we have gotten more ratings on the podcast as well for Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The support has just been overwhelming is really the point I'm trying to get across in terms of numbers. And numbers aren't everything. That's never been our key thing. But it's surreal to kind of see the support, guys. And it means a lot to us, genuinely.
Yeah, absolutely. We would just, throughout the week after we uploaded that, me and Dylan just kept messaging each other about all the nice comments we got and how the numbers just kept going up. We'd never experienced anything like that before. And again, it's not about the numbers, but that was amazing to see. I mean, obviously we want to grow primarily to build out our community and have more people, talking about Hunter x Hunter with us. And I mean, this just put us on the fast track to reach that goal. We weren't expecting this level of growth from this video at all.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much.
Yeah. Words can't express the amount of thanks and gratitude that we have. And we just wanted to recognize everyone who, gave that video a chance, or maybe gave our other videos on the channel a chance as well. All of our previous episodes for, podcast listeners out there. It means the world to us. Thank you so much for giving us a chance. And we hope you stick around for the ride for these upcoming chapters.
Absolutely. All right, and now let's talk a little bit about news. Actually, a lot of bit about news. We have some pretty big news this week, which we'll talk about secondly. But first of all, we have a new build of Nen Impact shown off at TGS, which was pretty cool to see. We got a new UI, which I thought looked really nice.
It was a lot easier to parse from, compared to previous gameplay, at least for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen some people say it looks ugly, but I don't agree. I think it looks really good.
I also value, easy accessibility, or readability, I guess is the best way to put it, over flashiness as well for a fighting game. So I prefer this by far. Yeah.
The new build also had some new playable characters. I didn't write down which ones because it's not new actually. It's just new for this build. I think Machi, Bisky, I think maybe.
That sounds right, I think. Yeah.
But no Razor or Kite or anything crazy, unfortunately.
Sad.
We also got some new mechanics, which is very exciting to both me and Dylan. So we have Nen Stance and Nen Pact, first and foremost. These are, if you're familiar with Dragon Ball Fighters, and, well, if you're familiar with fighting games in general, I guess our audience isn't exactly gamers per se, but the key charge is basically just like you can raise your meter, like your special meter. But it also has the added ability of being able to counter off of it, which I'm not exactly sure the details on how or like what resource is spent to counter from Nen Stance, but it's interesting.
Yeah, and it seems like you can combo off of that too, so that's oh wow.
Yes. Yeah, pretty cool mechanic there. And then Active Tag is now in the game,
which
to mixed reception I've seen online, but I think it's cool.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with what a active tag is, and if you're curious, essentially that means if you call in an assist, for like a combo or of use of any kind, while the assist is active, you can tag into that character to take control of them. So It adds a lot of flexibility into combo strings and whatnot. And again, like Kaige said, some people don't seem to prefer that because they wanted something closer to original Marvel versus Capcom mechanics. Active tag is kind of a more modern tag fighter feature. But it's still really cool, I think, and I think it'll open up a lot of avenues for combo expression.
Yeah. It does fundamentally change the game, which I think is why people are pretty adverse to it. Some people, at least, because it is a game changer, literally. Like, this is huge.
Yeah.
And also, both of these mechanics being added really make me feel like they are going for, like, a fighter's replacement here.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of similar mechanics now, so that's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting for a low budget game, especially. I don't know. I'm just glad to see a Hunter x Hunter fighting game in general. At the end of the day,
Absolutely, yeah, couldn't agree more. Now the big news. So Togashi has finished inking Chapter 420, which is also crazy because if you remember last week, I was reporting on him finishing 419, and that is very unusual pace for him lately. So he did a whole chapter in 1 week, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then he graced us with the news that the goal is to finish inking 10 more by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
whoa.
That's awesome. Does this mean necessarily that we are getting 30 chapters in a row? Not exactly, but potentially, and I will say probably. But don't be disappointed if we get to like 20 chapters and it's like, all right, we're taking a little break. But it because of the pace, and I mean, we got like 13 weeks left in the year, and 2 of those or so will be off weeks for Jump. So really, we're getting like 10 to maybe 12, 11 chapters this year, which won't even put us at the 20. And by the end of the year, he will have completed 10 more if he hits the goal, which will put us at 30 chapters inked at the start of next year, which I would assume would mean we can get all the chapters out in a row. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We don't know yet.
Yes. Either way, 10 more chapters, which is very exciting. That's a whole 2-ish months worth more of Hunter x Hunter serialization. So, oh man, I hope he can finish that goal. And the wording of that leads me to believe that there could be even like a goal for like chapters going into next year. And I'm not trying to assume that necessarily, but
No, for sure, because he has a deadline of the end of the year. That has implications. We'll see though. Let's just enjoy what we got. I'm pumped. We got 20. I mean, that's huge.
Yep.
And now we're gonna get 10 more. Wow.
This is gonna be a pretty long stretch of Hunter x Hunter being active within Jump, which is very exciting.
The longest stretch of chapters in a very long time. I don't know how long it's been since we've had more than 10 chapters in a batch, but that's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a wild time to be a Hunter x Hunter fan, to say the least.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so I think with that, we've talked about pretty much everything we wanted to in the intro here, so I think we're ready to get into the main topic, and Dylan will be taking over.
Sure.
So we'll see you then.
Yep. All right, so now we are going to be going over various theories relating to the current arc as we prepare to dive back into the glorious world of Hunter x Hunter next week. Still surreal that, we could say that.
Yes.
So, while we may be stuck on the boat for the foreseeable future, there's no shortage of theories to go over. So to that end, we're going to have 3 main sections to this video, and there won't be like proper segues into these segments, like video slides or whatever for the YouTube version. But we will be timestamping this for these main 3 sections if you want to skip around to the various types of theories we're going to cover. So just going to do a quick overview of those 3 sections. The first is going to be mine and Kaige's theory pitching is what we're calling it, and I'll be going over that very shortly. What that will be, because that'll be the first. The second will be going over some of the more popular and interesting theories relating to the series and the current arc. So this will be kind of just theories that I stumbled upon when browsing, the internet, Reddit, stuff like that. And then the third and final section will be community theories. We reached out to you guys via the community post on YouTube and through the podcast last week to gather your guys' theories, because we want to showcase some of our listener and viewer theories and talk about them. See what you guys have to say about what you think will happen. Hopefully this gives a good spread of perspectives for where the black whale may be heading, and I think it'll just be a lot of fun to talk about. So yeah, that's the agenda for today's episode. So first up, we have what we're calling theory pitching, kind of what I codenamed it, I guess. So basically, me and Kaige, the both of us will be competing to see which one of us can read Tagashi's mind the best. And we're going to be pitching 10 of our own personal theories to one another each. So 20 theories total, potentially, between us. Although I have a feeling we might have some overlap between some of our theories.
Well, the first one is already an overlap. We know that.
Yes. 5 of those theories will be ones, and we talked about this before when deciding how to, talk about these theories. 5 of those theories will be ones that have some, in-depth and explanations and elaborations as to what we think will happen and how. So that'll be exciting. 4 of those theories between each of us will be shorter, slightly less elaborated theories. So basically just, thinking some event will happen, but, we're not really sure how it might come about. Things like that, of that nature. And then at the very end, we'll present to each other one wild card theory. So this theory is one that probably will not happen, and it will be kind of a stretch, but could be fun to think about, and, it would just be a good time to talk about the potential of that theory. So going forward into the new chapters, we'll then attempt to keep track of these theories and see which one of us is the 3-star hunter while the other is as skilled as Tompa. And I think it'll just be a good little contest to kind of, keep track of as we go through the new chapters. We think this will be a fun way as well to work our brains and just kind of get some good discussion out of what we expect to see. And yeah. We'd also love for all of you to let us know who, you think has the better set of theories between the 2 of us after it's done. I think I'll win.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Okay. Let's see it.
I think I have some pretty interesting theories, but I know you have a humongous brain as well, so we'll see.
You're definitely the resident theory crafter, I will say, because I mean, this you're hosting this episode for a reason. So
we'll see. Hunter x Hunter's a bit of a weird one to crack in some areas, though. So we'll see. You've been the bigger.
It is.
You've been a longer, more long-term fan than me as well. So you never know.
Yeah.
But like you alluded to earlier, we do know that we both have one theory, tangentially related to the thumbnail for the YouTube version, I guess for the podcast versions as well.
Yeah.
That, we have a very similar theory in terms of scope. So I think we'll be going over that theory first between the 2 of us. So if you want to start with yours, we can get this going.
Okay, yeah, so mine and also Dylan's first theory, I assume, is that Kurapika and Hisoka will have an alliance in a loose term. I imagine it being a very similar relationship to the one that they had in York New City, where they are friendly with each other in a way, quote unquote, but more so just exchanging information back and forth and trying to get stuff done. I also think Hisoka will probably be the one to break the news that the spiders are on board and throw a wrench in everything going on with Kurapika, and I really think that's going to happen soon. Like, sooner than you'd probably think.
Yeah. My theory is actually very, very similar to yours. Do have some slight details added into mine, though, that, may or may not matter, may or may not happen. So I think Hisoka and Kurapika will meet on Tier 1, in which Kurapika will find out through this meeting that the spiders are on the ship. Like, I think he will find out from Hisoka 100%. And I also think this will lead to a loose, temporary alliance with Hisoka because of, the exchange of that knowledge. Perhaps with Hisoka aiding Kurapika with the succession contest, or at least guarding Prince Wobble, or benefiting Prince Wobble, as part of a bargaining chip of some sort. Like, I will give you information on the spiders if... Or, I don't know. I think that, the spiders can really tie into, I'll help you if you help me, at least for a little bit, Thing
is, though, they both have the same goal, ultimately. And given the conflicts we've seen Kurapika go through internally during York New, I imagine it will be a similar situation here where it's like, do I prioritize my personal mission or like the safety of my friends, and friends in this case being Wobble and Oito, who, it's his job, but still, I think he is somewhat endeared to them. And I think that'll be a mental struggle. And I also have another theory in relation to that later down the road that I'm excited to talk about.
Gotcha. Well, in any case, whether they agree to a kind of partnership or not, willingly, I do think Hisoka, he did promise not to attack the Phantom Troop, as long as the Mafia Wars go on, or as long as the Phantom Troop themselves doesn't initiate a fight, right?
Right.
I think he will need something to keep himself entertained in the meantime, and I think this will lead to at least maybe even an indirect partnership with Kurapika, because I think he might take a special interest in one of the princes while he's on Tier 1.
Probably Serednich.
I think it's likely between... It's equal... because we know that Hisoka loves to pick out very strong opponents and people to take interest in general, right? I think it's likely between 3 of the different princes because of their potential and various strengths. Serednich, Benjamin, or Hulkenberg. I think he might...
Hulkenberg's a good call, yeah.
I think he might take a special interest in one of those 3, and I'm leaning towards Hulkenberg as the most likely.
Yeah,
actually.
That's a good call, because we got those Nen rumblings going on right now, too, and Hisoka will definitely take notice of that, if he hasn't already.
Yes, and Kurapika has already identified that as, he might be a problem.
Yes.
So, for, trying to initiate the stalemate that it, is ultimately the goal of Kurapika. So I think that could be very likely, and whether or not Hulkenberg dies from Hisoka's hands or whatever is a whole other story. May not happen. I'm not trying to think that far ahead, but I do think there might be. Hisoka will keep himself occupied on Tier 1 while the Mafia Wars happen. I think is what will happen.
Yes.
All right. So, that's the shared theory that we know we both had. Going forward, we have no idea if we have overlapping theories or not.
So I do wanna press this point a little more. What do you think the odds of them forming an alliance is high? Do you think this will happen or no? Let's scale 1 to 10. How likely do you think it is to happen?
Solid 7, I'd say.
Not
not extremely likely, but I would lean towards it happening than not.
Okay. I'm a little more hotter on it. I really do think this is going to happen. I'm probably at a 9.
Okay.
It just feels like a perfect layup. I guess they could go the route of them being enemies, just straight up, but I don't foresee that. I think Kurapika's a much more rational person.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't just be labeling Hisoka as an enemy right away after seeing him, especially after they did have that sort of relationship in York New. So I really do think this is coming. This is the one I'm most confident in. That's why it's my number 1. Also because we share it, but it was my number 1 anyways.
I see. Yeah. At the very least, I don't think they're going to pick a fight with one another. It's the they will have an alliance of some sort. I'm a little more skeptical on if it will be an actual mutual agreement alliance or if it's just out of circumstance,
Well, yeah. I mean, the Yorkdew City one was pretty much out of circumstance too. So.
Right. So it remains to be seen, but I think we're both kind of on an equal mindset relating to that theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I can present my second theory, and you can let me
Okay.
know after if you have a overlapping theory or something very similar or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think within these 20, even 30 chapters potentially, we're going to finally learn more about what Jing and Pearson are up to while everything is happening right now.
Okay.
Now, this could be anything, considering we have like no knowledge of what's really going on with them right now. So this is a little hard to like have a real in-depth theory for, but I believe that ultimately it'll be a very low-key role. So that is to say, my current theory is that they are potentially even we don't have solid confirmation, as far as I'm aware, on if they are on the ship or not. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
I would say it's implied that they are, but I'm not 100% sure that they are.
Okay.
I guess.
so that's I'm in a similar headspace then. So rolling with that logic, my current theory is that they are actually hiding among the lower tiers, at least Jing and Pariston specifically. They are disguised, hiding among the lower tiers, and they will plan to not act at least until they reach the mock Dark Continent. So that's to say, like they are not lifting a single finger until then. That's the plan, at least. That being said, I think it is possible that they will be shown, and that when they are shown, some low-life criminals or mafia members could try and pick a fight because, they can, right? It's unruly on tier 5, right? And I think this will lead to, I don't know. I feel like Togashi might, get an itch to draw Jing doing something. So this could lead to Jing taking out the trash and just, kind of one-shotting some random mafia dude or, some low-life citizen just on the boat trying to pick a fight with him, right? Takes him out immediately, still disguised, still being low-key. Other than that, though, I think they won't lift a single finger within both the Succession Contest or Mafia Wars. I think they are truly not going to be really in the picture until at least getting to the mock Dark Continent.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I could see it. My personal view is that I feel like those two aren't going to be utilized at all until the Dark Continent arc begins, really, or when whatever happens on the mock Dark Continent. I don't really know what story structure we're going to have once we reach that point,
right.
But yeah, I don't foresee them being shown in this arc, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a tough one to kind of, provide some in-depth explanation to. Mm-hmm. But the core of this is that I do think they will be shown at least once in a kind of low-key role.
Okay. Interesting. I like it. I could see it.
Yeah. All right. I believe it's your turn now to present me a theory.
Okay, so my number 2, and I actually did kind of rank these based on my likelihood, my personal view on if this is likely or not.
Okay.
This is my number 2. A side plot with Machi as the focus will begin and get her set on the path of getting to tier 1, where she will ultimately meet with Hisoka and be the first one to meet with him.
Oh.
Whether or not that leads to her death or not, likely. But I won't say outright that that's going to be like Hisoka's first spider kill or anything. But I really foresee her having a small little arc of her own, getting to tier 1, meeting him first, and maybe getting herself killed because she's just in a blind fit of rage right now.
Oh, so
not really thinking straight.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, that's a bold prediction. I would say to have Machi be potentially the first spider of the group to die on the boat. Huh. That's one I didn't really.
Maybe not on the boat, but
I
think maybe the first Hisoka kill.
I see. Okay. Huh. Okay.
She's in a mindset we've never seen her in before. She's unpredictable, and that could lead to her calming down at some point and maybe being level-headed, maybe grouping up another spider and coming up with a real plan. But for the time being, I really see her just heading straight for Hisoka and probably getting herself killed.
See, what I like about that as well is that we haven't really seen what Machi is doing on the boat either, so far.
Not yet.
We kind of, I think, know her general location based off of some infograph that Togashi put in one of the chapters. But we don't really know what she's doing other than that. So I think that's that's not as unlikely as I may have initially thought. I think a little mini arc with her, just kind of checking up on her at the very least, would be pretty possible. So yeah, no, that's a good theory. I like that.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, so which one do I want to present next? Because I did not order these, unfortunately. Didn't really think about it, but okay. So I'll go with this one first. So this one will be loosely about the Haley and Morena. I think that whether or not this happens in the next 20, 30 chapters, I think is a little more unlikely. This is looking a little further ahead, potentially. But I think, and this is kind of on the more bold prediction, I guess, but it's also hard to tell where the Haley stuff is really going. There's a lot of factors going into that faction specifically. I think that, and I kind of want to throw a spicier one out right now as well, so this is a little bit of an in-between. I think that Morena will eventually die to the unlikely hands of Serenich himself.
Okay.
And I think this will be stemmed from him, one, trying to... Okay, I think the motivation behind this will be that he no longer cares for the toy and benefacting the Haley Mafia family, and will essentially curse her for kind of distracting him from more important matters, that being learning Nen, and just getting more involved with that in general. Winning the succession contest, he doesn't, like we've seen from his flashback, especially, that when he's bored of something, he drops it very quickly and personally. He likes to master stuff with the most focus, and we've already seen that he's clearly being annoyed by the distraction that is the Haley Mafia wars going on the lower tiers. We saw in one chapter, especially when he sent troops to go check out the hideout, I believe, that he really did not want to be bothered by it at all. So I think that could potentially lead into Serenich taking matters into his own hands to just kind of get rid of that. And
how would he get there?
I foresee him developing another Nen ability of some sort, or developing his current Nen ability even further with the whole being able to change what happens in real time or whatever, right? To essentially trick his crew and his cabin into thinking that he's there when he's actually able to go elsewhere on the ship. And knowing Serenich, he'd be very smart, being able to disguise himself properly in order to do that, or get the necessary things in order to actually roam the ship without him being seen. So I think it could be something along that, and I think various other Haley members will die before then, 2 Phantom Troop members, which will severely weaken her protection, which will allow Serenich to kind of finish her off himself. But this is the big part of this theory. This is all just kind of set up for this part. Before or as Morena dies, it will be revealed that Dogman has now reached level 100 through killing one of the princes. My guess would be Loserus. Just throwing it out there. And become a new member 0.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. I like it, though. I think that could definitely be the case. I guess the only part I'm not entirely convinced on is Serenich being the one to do it, but everything else I definitely could see happening, especially given the fact that Morena said that Dogman is like the most crucial member of the team.
Exactly.
We don't exactly know what she meant, but he is the highest level, so maybe he is being entrusted with like her will should she die or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it. That's interesting.
I tried to go for a more creative one with this theory, but I wanted something along with Morena and the Haley. Because I think that could be that'll still be a very pertinent storyline, within the next 20, 30 chapters, even if that doesn't, if it doesn't get that far within that amount of time. I still think it's a focus that should be touched upon. Absolutely, yeah. Okay. That's a good one. Thank you. All right, your turn. Okay, so Leorio. We haven't seen him much. We haven't seen him at all, really. But he is, in fact, on Tier 3 currently, as well as most of the other Zodiacs. Damn near all of them are on Tier 3, I believe. That's true. So,
I believe that conflict on the lower tiers is going to escalate to a crazy breaking point, as Mizai predicted. I believe he akin it to like a fuse being lit and just waiting for the explosion or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that explosion will happen. Conflict on tier 3 will go crazy between gang conflict, just petty thieves and criminals going at it. It's just going to be all-out war on the lower tiers, and all of the Zodiacs will have to step in some capacity, and this will bring Leorio into the main story. As well as pretty much every other Zodiac, which we will probably get to see then abilities revealed, I believe, for all of them, each of them getting some sort of action against likely Mafia family members, but could just be normal people. But I don't really think there's any too crazy notable people just on the lower tiers. Just all out war, basically, on the lower tiers, with the Zodiacs at the center probably being our point of view characters for this conflict. Okay. As well as the spider members that are involved. Probably Team B, as we called them, being Nobunaga, Phaeton, and Finks.
I see. Okay, and you think the fuse that'll be, or what will light the fuse there will be probably Mafia-related conflict?
Yeah, Haley specifically, I think they're just gonna... I mean, things are already ramping up to such a degree. I feel that's gonna burst at really any moment. It's unpredictable, but...
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a very good way to get Leorio out of the doctor's office and actually being able to do something active. So, well, not to say he's not already doing that, I guess, in the doctor's office, but it's kind of
he has an important role. Now, I guess you could go the other direction and say that doctors are going to be needed desperately during a time like that, and he will have to be a doctor, but I view it as a thing where there's just not enough people to fight the massive amount of people just causing chaos, so we need to pull in doctors to help in this case.
I see.
Because we have doctors that can actually fight here. Because there's not no doctors, it's just a shortage of doctors, so I'm sure they can leave like the non-Zodiac doctors to deal with it.
That's interesting. Okay. Huh.
Because this stemmed from me just trying to think of like how can Leorio be worked into the story in the succession contest, because I know he'll be important later when we reach the Dark Continent, but I want him now. I really just I want to see him. How would I make it happen?
I respect it.
And this is what I think.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's I think that's a good theory. That's a very I could see that happening. Whether or not it's through the conflict on the lower tiers specifically remains to be seen. I think I'm not entirely sold on that, but I do think I think it's very likely we'll at least see Leorio at some point in the near future. It's just kind of a little checkup at the very least. But I do like that idea as a way to kind of get him back into the fray.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay. So, which one of these will I... okay. So, I'm going to get this theory out of the way because I brought it up with you as a possibility before. Actually, within the last podcast. And I just kind of want to elaborate for the viewers, for the viewers and listeners specifically. But also just because I genuinely think this is something that could happen, right? So, I think the reason we haven't seen Woble's Nen Beast yet is because while it has been shown that Woble produced some amount of dark aura, when, behind Kurapika's back in that one, early chapter in the current arc, right? I think the reason that beast hasn't been shown is because there actually isn't enough aura to feed off from a baby to properly manifest a form. I think that's why, there's, rumblings of the aura. You can kind of see, Woble has something, but she's a baby, so there just isn't enough aura to manifest a form. Essentially, I think is the reason why we haven't seen it yet. Which also leads me to believe that I don't think Woble's Nen Beast has attacked anybody so far on in the succession contest because it can't. Essentially, it exists. It just doesn't have a proper form. So I have a feeling that you might also have a similar prediction, whether or not it's listed here or in your own list. I don't know, obviously. But I'm too sold on it to not include it in my own list. I think that at some point, perhaps out of pure desperation to save the child from an assassination attempt or some wild stuff going on the ship. And I don't think this will happen in the next 20 or 30 chapters. This is another kind of one past that. I think Bill will use his Nen ability to accelerate Prince Woble's growth and age him up. I don't know by how much, but we only know that Bill's ability can be used on humans to improve their Nen abilities. I think maybe this could be the result of like post-mortem death. Maybe this just could be like an extra cost to be able to accelerate like age specifically and like, you know, the body of a human child. I think Bill might give his life in order to do that. And so by aging up Prince Wobble though, the Nen Beast will finally be able to manifest the form and to be able to do something.
Okay.
So even if it doesn't have an effect on Prince Wobble herself, I think his Nen ability could be used to at least help manifest Prince Woble's Nen Beast.
Okay. Yeah. That is something we've talked about. I didn't include it in my list because I was pretty confident you were going to talk about it.
Smart.
Yeah. So, yeah, I do think this is a cool idea. It's basically like a Momonosuke from One Piece type thing where he aged up to be able to turn into a big dragon. I think that is a cool idea. I could definitely see it happening. The fact that it's stated that, you know, Bill's Nen ability can be used to enhance the growth of living creatures and not specifically plants is definitely a telling sign of maybe something more there. But the idea of accelerating the growth of a human life is pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. And I guess we've technically seen it before with Gon. But,
yeah.
And that did cost him his life, technically. For a time.
It took a miracle to save him.
Yeah. Could happen.
Yeah.
Certainly could happen.
I really, really have grown attached to that theory the more I think about it.
Yeah. So it's a cool one.
I think there's at least a connection there. I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah, I hear you. I do really like that one. I don't really have much more to say about it. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know necessarily if I'd like to see it happen because that would imply grim circumstances, but I think it would be interesting.
I think it's the way to kind of showcase as well just how much Bill has, grown attached to the mission of protecting Wobble and, Queen Obito as well. So I think that'd be a good character defining moment for Bill.
Right on. Yeah, I do have a theory involving Bill, but that will be in the second section of these theories.
Okay, sounds good.
For now, though, I'll talk about my fourth one here. Spiders are gonna die. This is something that a lot of people obviously are thinking right now, just given the fact that we got a flashback of them. They're in this arc with Kurapika and Hisoka, who both want to kill them. They're involved in some pretty crazy stuff. At least 3 of them are right now with the Mafia. So within even this batch of chapters coming up, whether it's 20 or 30, well, if it's 30, I might actually think I might raise this number. But if we're getting 20, assuming, I think we're at least getting 1 death, maybe 2. Because I really think very soon they're going to start dying. And I know we have a community comment pretty similar to this as well. But this is something that's always in my mind, so I just had to talk about it. Beyond that, even beyond these 20 chapters, further down the road in the Succession Contest, I don't foresee any, if maybe just a couple, surviving.
Oh.
And if any survive, it's hard to say who would be the survivor. Or survivors. I guess maybe Illumi by circumstance, because we don't really know what he's up to exactly. Mm-hmm. Maybe Kaluto as well. I don't know. But all of the core members who we've known throughout the whole series, I believe, are going to end up dead on the boat. They won't even reach the Dark Continent at all.
Wow.
And that includes Crollo. I think they're all going to be dead.
Whoa. Okay. So, yeah, you think 1 survivor maybe, and it'll be one of the lesser members. It won't even be Crollo. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I could also see maybe like Shizuku or something being the one to survive, something like that. Just like somebody who's not super important. Mm-hmm. And as for like who I think is going first, it's really hard to say at this point, but I feel like it will actually end up being one of the 3 that are involved in the Mafia conflict, and it won't even be 2 like Hisoka or Kurapika. I think they will die by the hands of Mafia members in some capacity.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Fun one to think about for sure. I'm not going to say too much because I actually have 2 of the lesser theories with a slightly less elaboration involving the Phantom Troop. So a little sneak peek to that. So I'll save I'll save a little bit of discussion for my predictions on that topic. But I do think it's a really cool thing to think about, and there's a good amount of troop members on the ship, so it's the most fun thing to think about relating to that topic is really just how many will survive, and the fact that you think that like maybe only one will survive and it won't be anybody too important is pretty. That's a good one. I think a lot of people tend to, at least from what I've seen, tend to think that, like there will be some deaths on the boat, but maybe not all the Phantom Troop will die like there, right? But, you seem to think that most of them, if not all of them, will die. So that's interesting to think about. I like that.
It is certainly like I'm not going to deny the possibility of them reaching the Dark Continent and having their story continue, but this just, I don't know, just everything we're getting with them, this just feels very final to me. Like I feel like we're approaching the finale of the troop as a whole.
Which, so I'm going to talk about this because this isn't within any of my theories. I think that could tie into the far future as well with like, okay, the troop story ends, so like what happens to Meteor City now? And then that's where Gyro comes in.
That's right.
Yeah, because I
power vacuum.
Yeah. So, and I guess that's not like confirmed or anything, but I know you mentioned at some point, either with me off episode or not, that it might be likely Gyro heads to Meteor City. So
that's what Welfin speculated.
I see. Yeah, I like that. That's a cool one. Okay. So I have one more of the kind of more elaborated theories, and curious what you think about this one.
Okay.
So I think this will happen within the next 20 or 30 chapters. I think one of the hunters that Kurapika recruited for this expedition will die. Okay. Now, it's a kind of a toss-up as to which one will be, because like obviously like, if you think of like Basho, he hasn't really done anything, right? Like he could very much die for all we know. But I don't think the one thing I know for sure that I don't think Melody will die, at least not yet, because she's going to be such a huge variable for future prince assassinations in general, right? I don't think anybody wants to kill her, because everyone wants to use her, exactly. So I don't think it'll be her. That's the only thing I know for sure, or that's the only thing I'm confident in. But I'm thinking out of the rest of them, Hanzo might be the one to bite the bullet sooner rather than later. I think that Hanzo has already shown that he cares. Like Kurapika recruited all of these hunters in general to help him with investigating Serenich and the bodyguard the ship. That was his first goal before it ultimately became I actually want to protect Prince Wobble, right? And Hanzo has already expressed before, within the last like 10, 20 chapters, I can't remember exactly when it happened, like, hey, like, do you want me to investigate anything for you? Because like he has no affiliation with the prince now. His prince died immediately, Yeah. And Kurapika was like, no, like it's fine. Don't worry about it. I think Hanzo made the comment, if you remember as well, that you should probably start thinking selfishly, something along those lines, or he's asking why Kurapika doesn't ever think about himself first, I think this will lead to Hanzo trying to investigate Serenich without Kurapika's knowing. I think he'll do it out of the kindness of his own heart, essentially, because he cares about Kurapika, and also because he might have a bad feeling about Serenich. There's not really a whole lot for him to do right now, so like he can use his double as kind of a tool for that as well. I think he might try and look deeper into it, and I think this will lead into him getting into a fight with Serenich somehow. I don't know exactly how that would come about, but I think it would lead to that. And this would help as being Serenich's first big test, essentially, as someone who is really starting to master Nen, right? Like he's about to face off against a very skilled hunter, as it's been implied that Hanzo is now, right? It's going to set up an environment, a scene of which Serenich is this big underdog in comparison. Little experience with Nen. This is his first fight with Nen, essentially. But I think although we'll ultimately see Hanzo's other abilities in some way within this fight, Serenich will kill him effortlessly as proof of just how terrifying this man has become, whether through his Nen Beast, whether through his other Nen Beast, whether through his own abilities, whether with a newly developed ability in the moment, even something will give that will just wipe Hanzo out like immediately. Maybe after a little bit of a struggle, but like Hanzo will ultimately like die at the hands of Serenich in cold blood. So I think this would lead to giving Serenich a massive ego boost, even for his own standards, because like I'm basically even more skilled than a hunter now, something like that, right? And I think this also sets even higher stakes and tension for when he and Kurapika will eventually meet. And this will ultimately be Kurapika's wake-up call of there is going to be no hope with negotiating with this man like he was able to with all the other holders of the Scarlet Eyes. I think it'll ultimately be like it'll have to be a fight to the death with him in order to avenge his clan. And okay. I imagine the vibes to be kind of similar to like a Kite Gon P2 situation where like, Kurapika's going to feel guilt about Hanzo's death in general, and he's going to be very, very, very angry at Serenich about it.
Yeah, I really like that one. That's probably my favorite one you've said so far. I think that's super interesting and also pretty likely even. I could definitely see it going that direction, especially if you view like, that comment Hanzo said about Kurapika not acting selfless as like foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. The one thing you didn't really touch on though is that he is actually active right now. He is technically employed by Mariam.
Yes.
He's trying to figure out his whole Nenbi situation. He also can't really leave the room right now. Well, he can with Doppelganger,
with Doppelganger, yes.
Yeah. So he does have something going on right now. He's not doing nothing. He's also teaching the guard team Nen there with Bisky. But because Bisky's there too, he could just go off on his own.
Yeah, I think in general, like, even if it ends up being connected or starting with like, something to do with Mariam, I think it will eventually lead into a soft investigation, or at least like, meeting with Serenich where things will end very badly.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Really good one.
Yeah. I wanted to save that one for last for the more elaborate theories because I felt pretty proud of creating that one. I think it's very likely.
That's a cool one. Yeah, so on the other hand, this is the one I kind of view as the least likely of my like 5 bigger ones. Also, I do want to say the 6th one I'm gonna have is actually more elaborate, but I wanted to get it in there, but whatever. We'll get it right there.
Fair. I get it.
Anyways, the 5th one. So the Haley family will completely wipe out both other mafia families, leaving the Spiders and the Zodiacs, as well as any other parties that happen to be on lower tiers to deal with the rest of them. I don't believe this means that literally the entire Haley family is going to be intact after they're done with the other mafia families. I think it'll be kind of fragmented. Maybe even Morena will be dead, and somebody else will be a new member zero, maybe Dogman, or maybe just. This is one I kind of have in my head, but I want to throw it out there just in case it does happen. Remember Cashew?
Yes.
The one who's kind of taking it easy. Mm-hmm. I think she's gonna kill a prince.
Oh, interesting. Do you have a theory on which prince potentially, or?
See, that's hard because we don't really know anything about Cashew. It's kind of just a gut feeling.
I see.
Because there's been a weird amount of focus on her, at least in the past. It's been a while, but she did have a strange amount of focus at one point, and one of them is going to kill a prince. I just know it.
Okay.
I just get the gut feeling it's going to be her. I don't know which one. Maybe it could be like... I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe a benefactor of another clan, but it wouldn't be Zhonglei, so I guess that leaves Loserous. But who knows? But the main thing of this theory is that the Haley family is basically going to win this mafia war. The other sides will be completely wiped out. I'm talking even Henry and Wang. They're dead. I think both sides totally wiped out. Haley's the only mafia family left on board, and then they're just going to try to probably sink the boat, honestly. This is what their goal will be. But I think the Spiders and the Zodiacs maybe even team up. This is kind of in relation to that other theory I talked about earlier. We'll have to hone in on stopping them because they will be such a big threat at that point with very little in their way.
Oh, that's a bold one, but I like it. I like it a lot, actually. As build up Haley is like, not even 2 mafia families combined with the troop can stop their takeover of the lower tiers, at least. Wow.
They're just going to keep growing in strength. I mean, they even have that whole EXP farm thing going on right now. They got shit figured out. I really think they're very competent, and they're going to be a huge problem. Obviously, we already know they're a huge problem, but I think that's only going to get worse and worse as the situation evolves.
Woo, spicy one. I like it, Kaige. That's good. That's real good. I also like how the first prince that comes to mind is potentially likely to die to a Haley member is Loserus. Poor guy.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking like benefactors. And
Yeah.
like,
Benefactors.
Zhonglei's not biting it like that. I think Zhonglei's going to be pretty important to endgame stuff, but
he's a benefactor. He's already not that confident winning the contest. Like, he's kind of an easy target. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. I like it though. That's a real good one. I like how it ties into one of your other theories as well.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good. Okay, so that's all the the real elaborated theories that both me and Kaige have. Aside from one other, you said that you wanted to sneak in.
Yeah,
there?
my 6th one is kind of more elaborate. I kind of snuck it in there, but then after that, I kind of just want to rapid fire off these next ones so we can get to other topics. But yeah,
I'll start with mine that has a little bit of a slight bit of elaboration to it as well. Then
okay.
So yeah, cool. These next 4 between me and Kaige will, or I guess 8 technically between the 2 of us. They'll be slightly less elaborated than the ones we just discussed for the sake of time, but these are still cool to think about. So mine, tangentially related to how many troop members we think will survive the ship. I think by the time the expedition is also, or not the expedition, I guess, but by the time the ship lands, whether on the Mach continent or not, or I guess like the end goal for majority of the ship is the Mach dark continent, right? I think by that point, only 4 members of the troop will be alive. So I think 4 will survive. I think it'll be Crollo, Machi, Illumi, and Kaluto.
That's funny because we're kind of in disagreement there almost entirely.
That's why I found it very funny when you said that earlier.
Funny,
and to elaborate a little further, I think Hisoka somehow, whether through the whole shipping thing or not, I don't know. Maybe that could be involved for all I know. This is kind of like just, I don't have anything to really back this up, right? I think Hisoka will find a way back to the mainland after killing the rest of the spiders on the ship. And as for the surviving troop members, I think Illumi will eventually die in a one-on-one fight with Hisoka afterwards. I think Kaluto will voluntarily leave the troop. And then I think Crollo and Machi will continue to hunt down Hisoka in even more, fits of rage, ending in a final confrontation at Meteor City.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
we'll
a bit
obviously, I do disagree with this, but
yeah,
I could. It's interesting perspective.
I think that this would be an outcome I'd be. I'm not sure if I'd be pleased to see it or not, because it's hard to predict how satisfying the whole Phantom Troop storyline will go down at this point. That there's so many things that could happen, but I think this is one that I could potentially see happening. I think of those 4, I think would be most likely to survive the longest. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about it. I honestly should have put this in my more elaborate theories, because the more I think about this one, the more I really like it. I don't know. I guess the reason I put it here is because I'm not confident it'll happen. I just kind of like the idea, even though it breaks my heart.
Yeah, go for it.
So somewhere down the line, definitely not in the next 20, 30 chapters, but I believe that Kurapika and Bill are going to have a falling out due to a conflict of interest. I believe Kurapika will reach a point again where he did in York New City, where he will become too wrapped up in either the troops goings on or Serednich or something, and he will kind of lose focus on Wobble and Oito, and Bill will remain loyal, and the two will kind of rift apart. And this will be where Bill, in a desperate attempt to get Oito and Wobble off the boat, will break beyond out of his cell himself.
And that goes with one of his escape plans. Requires Beyond's help and will be extremely difficult. I like it.
Either that or he goes and finds Pariston somehow. Also possible, but I think dramatically him breaking Beyond Out would be more interesting.
That would be an insane reveal. Wow.
And this, who knows? Maybe this could lead to a really big failure on his end, or maybe a success. I don't know. But I believe that we're going to reach a point where Kurapika just gets too tied up in his own stuff and can't get his priorities straight, and he might even just completely neglect his mission altogether, his job altogether, and just focus on his mission. Maybe he'll regret it at some point. I'm sure he will, but I foresee him getting wrapped up in this again and having the same kind of conflict he did in York New.
Oh, man, that is kind of a heartbreaking thing to think about, him and Bill having a falling out at this point when they're kind of starting to connect a lot with this mission. Ooh, but if there's anything to start breaking up that trust, it would be knowing the Phantom Troop's existence on the boat. So
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I see that as maybe more likely than you'd maybe think. You said you're not that confident in it.
Yeah,
but,
it could be.
I think that's a likely storyline that could form out of Kurapika finding out about the troop. That's good.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it's actually kind of funny how like 3 of these 4 lesser theories are somewhat tangentially related to the troop. Just now looking at my list, but I'll go over another one that's kind of also related to what I just mentioned about like the troop member surviving, because this one is about how I think the first Phantom Troop member to die on the ship will be Nobunaga. And it will be at the hands of Henry, being forced to stab him in the back by the GU boss.
Okay, wow. Interesting.
Henry will not want to do it, but his hands will be forced to do it, and he will betray Nobunaga in a bloody manner.
That's good, Dylan. That is good. I could definitely see that happening. I hope it happens after we get Nobunaga's Nen ability revealed.
I hope so too. But
yes, I could see that happening. You're so right about that.
Especially with Henry, I think if they build up that trust between those two enough, as they're kind of implying Nobunaga's gaining a liking for him, I think it could even end with like Nobunaga's own sword being turned against him.
Literally even, because remember, Nobunaga doesn't have his sword right now, and maybe Henry will be the one to get it back for him.
Exactly.
All right. You kind of sold me on that one. That might really happen.
I think that'd be a fantastic first troop death on the boat. I think that would really set the tone and stage for the troop.
I'd be so bummed out because I love Nobunaga.
Oh, me too. But I think that's even more reason why I think it'll happen.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's really good. Okay, so my next one, this is kind of totally baseless, just kind of gut feeling, but these are lesser theories anyways.
Yeah.
Tyson will be the next prince to die, and she will be killed by either a Hail Lee member or a Have-Not. And for the Hail Lee member, I will specifically say Cashew. But, because, actually, no, I won't. Because I don't think that's yet. I think that's later down the road. But, You know what? Actually, I'm removing Hail Lee member there. That's not happening yet. Have-Not. I think a Have-Not is going to take out Tyson.
Okay.
Specifically.
Poor Tyson.
Because we need to see that take effect. If not take her out, then at least weaken her in a significant way. I feel that she's just next. I just really get that feeling.
Yeah.
I feel that this would be a good opportunity to show off what a Have-Not can do.
That's a good one. I like tying the Have-Nots into being, killing one of the princes. And I think if any prince were to be killed by a Have-Not, Tyson is probably the most likely to fall victim to that. So, yeah, I like that. And if Tyson also isn't the next prince to die, I think that will be very, shortly after one of the other princes dying. I don't think she's going to survive too much longer, comparatively.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, poor Tyson. I like the theory though. That's good. So I guess on the topic of princes surviving, I have a kind of just putting it out there. There is something that could happen. One of my personal theories is that Fugetsu will become one of the final 4 princes to survive the succession contest, alongside Benjamin, Serenich, and Wobble. But only because of another sacrifice from the guardian spirit beast Kacho. In some way, I don't have a vision as to how that could happen, but I feel like that could factor into basically Kacho saving Fugetsu again.
Okay.
Fugetsu will then die on her own very shortly after, not through an assassination, either from pure heartbreak or just by her own hands out of guilt.
Damn. Wow, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see.
I think it's pretty unlikely, actually, just because of the foreshadowing that's going on with Fugetsu right now. But I think that could be a fun twist. So I wanted to put that in there.
Okay. So my next one, as we all know, postmortem Nen has been a huge talking point for this whole post-anime content, really. The seeds have been planted very early, and I feel like it's going to culminate. Again, this is not one I'm completely confident in. It has a lot of holes, but either Kurapika or Crollo will end up dying and using postmortem Nen to take out the other, killing them both.
That'd be that'd be very fitting, even, I think, with everything set up between the two characters and how I think both, in a way, don't even really care about their own lives all that much.
Not really, exactly.
So, man.
That's just how I feel that the post-mortem Nen stuff can kind of culminate. Who knows? But just throwing it out there. That's what these are for. Okay,
yeah, no, that's a good one. I'll keep that one in the back of my head as we slowly but surely approach a Kurapika confrontation.
One day.
So, my final Lester theory, also kind of related to the troop, kind of not. Just going to throw it out there. I think Sheila is on the ship. But I don't think she knows that the troop is there. I think she's there of her own accord to go visit the Dark Continent. I think she's stuck on the ship specifically for that purpose. And to tie into that, I mean, just throwing it out there as like potentially a connection. She did read and give the book to the Kurta clan of Dino Hunter. And we do know that there are some dinosaur-like creatures on the Dark Continent.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Right on. All right.
Yeah. Kind of a simple one, but,
Yeah.
I think it could be very fun. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm also inclined to agree. I feel like she could be on the boat too.
Okay.
Now
we have our wild.
Well, no, I still got to do my final.
Oh wait,
regular one.
My bad. Sorry,
that's
guys.
Okay. My last one here for lesser theories.
Yeah.
There's going to be an intermission of the Succession Contest arc, and we'll get to see what's going on in the main human world, where we will also get to check in on Gon and Killua.
Ooh. Both of them separately, I'm assuming?
Separate. No, they're not together.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yep.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. And you think that'll happen in the next 20, 30 chapters? Just like a quick cutaway, check-in?
Maybe not, but I think at some point.
Okay.
We're going to get an intermission, maybe a couple chapters long, touch in on those two, and maybe even Gyro. Just see what's going on. Because we haven't seen the human world in a minute, so let's just see what's going on.
I see. Okay. Interesting.
Kind of Wano style from One Piece.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, it's a simple one as well, but I think it could be likely, and that'd be fun. So I'll be thinking about that one too.
All right. Now wild cards.
Yeah. Now we will be presenting our wild card theories to one another. These are the ones that we think are the most out there out of the theories that we have listed, and I'm especially curious what the listeners will have to say about these ones. So I guess I'll go ahead and start with mine. So we know that Moral issued protection over Colt and Kite after the events of the Chimera Ant arc, right? Listed them as magical beasts to give them protection from other hunters and whatnot, right? And that Kite reassured Gon that whenever they need help, that they will contact him and Killua, right? Seemingly implying that Kite may at least be working with Moral and/or the Hunter Association, right?
Okay.
I think I'm not exact. This is out there, right? It's a wild card, and I'm not sure exactly how this would even go down. But my out there prediction is that Kite has grown even more into a more adult-looking figure, right? Because we've seen the fast growth that this new version of Kite is, right? I think that they've grown even more and is now accompanying Moral to taking over the transportation to the real Dark Continent. I think Kite is with Moral on that, and maybe even Colt. I'm thinking less so, but Kite at the very least. And after they get through the gate and get through the Dark Continent, information will be revealed about Dome Freaks, either through Jing elaborating even further on his thoughts or through something else. And so again, this is very far into the future when we actually get to that godforsaken place. This is the catalyst that will prompt Kite and crew to try and initiate contact with Gon, and this will be getting a cutaway to a whole new arc. I don't think we're even gonna get like crumbs really of the Dark Continent as soon as we reach that land. I think it'll cut away to Gon, and it'll start a whole arc about Gon, Killua, and Aluka trying to get Gon his Nen back / relearn it in order to go assist with the Dark Continent expedition. Because Gon's interest in that specifically will be fueled by finding a new figure related to him in Don Freaks. And
Okay.
I think, the whole way of trying to find a way to get to the Dark Continent via an alternative route will be linked to Aluka and her connection with the Dark Continent. And I think that'll be kind of the catalyst for all of that.
Okay. Yeah. Sure, it could be possible. Yeah.
It's out there, yeah, but I think Kite will be thrown into the mix, and
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good way to put them into the mix, that while making logical sense.
Okay. Yeah, I think that part is likely, at least, for sure. Okay, so yeah, yours is a lot more well thought out than mine. Mine is really just like a sentence.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
We can discuss it.
And this does kind of contradict another one of mine, but that's why this is a wild card. I could see it happening, but I don't necessarily think it will.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond will be assassinated before even arriving to the Dark Continent.
Ooh.
I think this would be an interesting storytelling perspective because this would rob the expedition team of its leader, and I guess it would probably the leadership would then fall on Jing, which would be pretty huge. Some would probably criticize this for wasting a character beyond, but I think this would be such a crazy thing to pull. Again, I don't necessarily think it'll happen. I just think it would be nuts, and like I would respect it if it were to happen.
Whew. Man.
Don't know by who either. I really couldn't really think of exactly who would want to assassinate him.
Right.
Tough to say, but
Huh.
maybe even Pariston. I don't know.
That's a very bold one, at the very least. Wow. Yeah, I don't really have any words for that one.
Yeah.
That'd be a crazy page flip. Just beyond being assassinated, man. Oh, wow. Yeah. No, I like that as a possibility. That's a fun one. I admire that one.
All right.
Because I definitely don't think Beyond will die. So, like, just for you to put that out there is like, whoa,
Yeah.
That is a possibility, I suppose. Like, can't really rule it out.
Yeah. It would be an interesting way to throw a wrench in the Dark Continent stuff. But again, don't necessarily think it'll happen. But throwing it out there.
Fair enough. Okay. Next up, we're going to be going over some interesting theories that kind of just made the rounds of the internet. Before we go into that, though, let us know your thoughts on our both me and Caige's theories. Whose set of theories maybe you like the most, whose you think is more likely, which theory you like the best. Leave a comment on the YouTube version or email us, or let us know however you feel fit. I'm really curious to see what you guys think.
And let us know what the worst theory was. Too.
Yes, I'm interested in that too. So yeah, we're going to be going over some interesting theories that kind of made the rounds of the internet, mainly Reddit from what I found, but that's the easiest way to kind of get discussion on Hunter x Hunter, at least from my perspective. So these following theories, they can be related to the succession contest, or they could just be general theories going into the distant future, maybe explaining some stuff. Some of these are going to be reasonable and some not so much. We'll cover those when we get to them. This might end up being the shortest section of this podcast, this episode, since there will be a lot to cover in our community theories later, especially. But tried to include some of the more popular discussions, and as well as some theories that maybe haven't been mentioned by either us or our listeners. So, if you are ready, Cage, we can hop right into it.
Already.
All right, so first up, we're going to talk about probably the most popular theory relating to the succession contest as we know it right now, or just this arc in general, I should say. There's tons of Reddit threads about this and just discussion in general. The theory that Hisoka is not actually Hisoka as we know him. Like the figure that is being implied to be Hisoka that's been shown within the arc, it's not him. The popular part of this theory is that this Hisoka is actually Crollo. Now, the backs you can correct me on anything as I go along because I know you're a little bit more in tune with kind of community theories, or just like general theories, especially over the last few years. But from what I could find, the popular consensus right now with this theory is that Crollo used Bonolanov's Nen ability with Bookmark in order to disguise himself as Hisoka, to get access to Tier 1 via, Henry and the, GU, like the VVIP pass, right? So, evidence to suggest that this is actually Crollo kind of includes a bunch of different things, but mainly just mannerisms, and just like how this person who we're supposed to believe is Hisoka doesn't really act like him in some ways. So, like, not answering directly if he was Hisoka after being asked 3 different times is like a big one I've seen thrown around. Like, he never answered directly, yes, I am Hisoka. He kind of just skirted around the question. Which could factor in from another theory that I found is that, from that, kind of implied from the Crollo-Hisoka fight, is that Crollo can't tell lies when using the bookmark. And again, just like the mannerisms of Hisoka being similar to Crollo's. So like hands in the pockets all the times, just the hairstyle, right? It kind of looks like Crollo in some ways. There's one person or just discussion in general that I found that he asked a question to Henry, like, who would win between like me and the troop, right? And it's been shown a couple times that Crollo likes throwing out these hypothetical questions a lot. If you remember back in York New, especially when he was fighting Silva, he asked, which one of us would win one-on-one, I think is the line that was said to him.
Yeah, something like that.
And then another point that I found about, like, he was about to show his palms to Henry when taking the VVIP card and then very quickly retracted them. Some people take that as, like, maybe Tagashi implying that the sun and moon marks are on his palms currently. Doesn't want to let anybody know that he is Crollo. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just don't personally see it being the case. There is a lot of good evidence, and I respect that, but my problem with it is it would just put Crollo and Kurapika on the same tier way too early. I think that would be crazy. Like, really? I don't know. And Hisoka's not even there probably if Crollo's going up there. So, like, what does Crollo gain from being on tier 1?
I guess he could potentially think Hisoka is also hiding on tier 1, but
I guess maybe he is. I guess I don't know.
The thing is that the troop doesn't really know much of anything about the succession contest as we know it.
Yeah.
Nor do they really care about that. They just care about killing Hisoka and stealing the treasure. So
right.
like,
but see, tier 1, yeah, that'd put him closer to the treasure. But he said that's not the priority right now. They just need to find Hisoka, and I don't even think. Like, Crollo hasn't ruled out any of the lower floors yet.
No.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. It just seems really random. I feel like Hisoka is just Hisoka, but that's just me.
No, I also think the same way for similar reasons that you listed as well. But I do think that the evidence that people give for this theory is, like, there is convincing stuff there. Mm-hmm. And, like, I don't think this is entirely out of the question either. I just don't see it.
It's not.
Yeah, I just don't believe in it personally as of right now. But that being said, I feel like this theory especially could easily gain even more traction if more crumbs were to be left behind on that. So I guess we'll see if we do see Hisoka anytime soon. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of other, like, tangentially related theories to this because, you got to ask the question, if Hisoka is actually Crollo, then, like, what was Crollo even on the... Or no, like, there's other questions that can be asked, I guess, that kind of shoots off from this theory. So if we were to go along with the fact, for hypothetical sake, right, that Crollo is Hisoka, then if they truly think Hisoka's on the boat, then where is Hisoka actually? Like, where is the real one? There's a fun one that I found that gained a little bit. This came from a deleted user on a Reddit post, so unfortunately I'm not able to credit them properly. But it's still an interesting one to think about, and I wanted to include it here. Hisoka could be disguising as a follower of Morena in order to get more Nen abilities to kill the spiders. How crazy would that be?
That would be wild. I think that's a fun idea, at least.
Man, that's a scary one to think about. Like, dude, Hisoka with more Nen abilities, like just with Bungie.
It has a lot of holes. Like, primarily just like how would Hisoka even know that that's a thing?
Yes.
But it is a very fun idea.
Yeah. I very, very unlikely considering the circumstances, and how would Hisoka know? But I like the what if part about it. And there's this other theory that I'm about to talk about. Very popular, if not just as popular as like Hisoka is Crollo, and this one I believe even less in. There's a theory going around that Illumi is actually Hisoka. And some, very vague kind of like, reasonings behind it is that it could explain some of the more like flowery mannerisms Illumi has shown, for lack of a better word. And just also explain why he like let loose so quickly that the troop was on the boat. They just kind of seems like he's not taking it seriously, right? And then kind of almost like not benefiting the troop by being there. But I personally don't believe it, if not for the fact that this would make Crollo look like a complete and utter idiot when he's absolutely not that. And I think for that reason alone, I just vehemently do not believe in this, because it would make Crollo look like the stupidest person on the planet, simply put. So
yeah, it's also just like, how funny would it be if both are true? Illumi is Hisoka and Hisoka is Crollo, just both disguised. It's just that It's silly to me. It's just too convoluted. Yeah,
very silly one. And like I highly doubt somebody like Crollo, who could, if you remember back in York, dude, just could like sense the I don't know if it was, I can't remember what emotion it was. It was like anger or like distrust or something. Like when Gon and Killua were like kidnapped, I guess they like in the troop hideout, he was basically able to read their goddamn minds like in the moment. Like, yeah. So like, how is he going to be fooled by Hisoka disguising himself as Illumi?
Yeah, it just sounds silly.
Unless you wanted to like keep him close to the vest, but like he's so angry that he's going to kill him on sight. So like, I don't understand how that could have been set up.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in that.
Not a believer.
Yeah. That is one that does make the rounds quite a bit though. So I think it was important to talk about here.
Yeah.
This next one, I'm only including this because Kaige told me that at one point this did gain some sort of ground. I don't know if it ever really became popular.
I wouldn't say ground. It was just something that was talked about a lot.
Okay. And it's a theory that Gon is a stowaway on the Black Whale, and if not a stowaway, will be like sent to the ship. Literally, what?
No.
How did this even cross people's minds as a possibility? Like, can you recall anything?
I really don't remember the origin point. I just remember that was a big talking point for a little while, mostly through memes. Like, people definitely didn't take it seriously, but there were a crowd who definitely did take it seriously and still do. Like, I do see that still, like, in Reddit comments or whatever. I occasionally see people throw that out there as like a real genuine possibility, and it's just, no way, bro.
I think this might be one of, if not the most far-fetched theory we'll talk about on this entire episode, because like I just don't understand the thought process behind it. Literally, why on every level?
Yeah, I do not know.
Doesn't even have his Nen back. Like, what is he gonna do even if he did get to the boat? Like,
how if I know?
He doesn't even really know what the Dark Continent is. Like,
no, there's no reason for him to be on the boat at all.
Yeah, so I definitely don't believe in this one, but I kind of had to put it on here just because of how absurd it sounds to both me and Kaige.
Yeah.
Going on to a more relevant one, I'd say. Kaige might be able to speak a little more about this, just because this discussion has been going on for years, considering when this kind of question was first parsed through the chapters. Silent majority. We still don't know who the silent majority user is. And there are quite a few theories relating to who it could be. And I have some names listed down here and some small notes that have got me along. But I will ask of you, Kaige, if you have more details to put in about like why it could be these people, then list them as you see fit.
Okay.
First, probably the most popular one that I could find is that Bellerante is actually the silent majority user. This seems to me, at least from the research that I've done, that this is the most popular consensus as to who in the room at least could be the silent majority user. And really, the best I could find in terms of like evidence to back that up, instead of like pure speculation, is that there's actually very similar mannerisms in their dialogue. So, it's implied at least. I think like Bellerante is like purposely trying to keep a little quiet within the room of Kurapika's Nen class. But it's been shown at least through a few different panels that Bellerante does like to talk a lot and like overanalyze essentially. And Silent Majority kind of has a very similar like dialogues like sentences and just like the way they talk in terms of like being very direct and just like basically yapping. So there's a bit of a implied connection there, I guess. But yeah, a lot of people seem to think that Bellerante might be the silent majority user.
Yeah, and I could see it for sure.
Didn't really have much more to add to that.
No, it's just I mean it makes sense. If it's anybody in the room, I guess it would probably be him. Well, not even really. It's a possibility. That's all I'll really say. It's maybe.
Gotcha.
Could also be a red herring.
Fair enough. I've also seen some theorization that Satobi and Slaka could be the silent majority user, and that's both of those are mainly theorized due to connections with the second Queen Dwazil.
Yeah, just not trustworthy, basically.
Yeah. Not a very trustworthy character. They'd gain a massive advantage from there not being a stalemate between all the princes, with Nen, because, especially in regards to Prince Wobble, like there's so much influence that she could kill off a baby very easily without any interference, So maybe there's a connection there with those two. I could see that.
Could be.
Yeah. The problem with the silent majority theories, at least for me, is that there's really not a whole lot of evidence to go off of for pretty much anybody that's being theorized as a silent majority user.
Yeah, no. And like I said, I was telling you this off air, but I personally think it's not even anybody in the room. Like, right. I don't know who exactly it would be, but just a gut feeling just tells me that it's a complete red herring altogether, that they're speculating people within the room. I feel like it's just going to be somebody using this like remotely or maybe just outside the room, something. Yeah,
and kind of leading into that, there is a theory that I've seen more than once as well, that maybe the silent majority user is Sheila, from the Phantom Troop flashback. That would be a crazy one. There was some evidence, like the title of their ability, like they were 11, silent majority. Some people take that as, there was 11 troop affiliated children within the flashback of the Phantom Troop. They were very young, could theoretically be around that age as well, even, I don't know. There's some, it's more of an out there theory from everything I could tell. Some people think, the motivations behind why Sheila would be interfering with any of that is that maybe she remembers Kurapika, and now that she's on the ship and she wants to try and help him out of guilt, senses the kind of dastardly motivations from some of the people within the Nen classes, or for some other purpose. But Sheila is one that I've seen more than once as like a potential silent majority user reveal.
Yeah, sure. Again, not necessarily believable, but could happen.
It very well could. It doesn't mean it will, though. But that's the fun of speculating.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is definitely a fun theory. But.
Yeah. I don't really have much else to talk about in terms of silent majority, though, unless you have anything that comes to mind, Kaige.
Not really, because I don't really have a guess myself. Just like, I really do think it's somebody not in the room, but even that's completely baseless. And all these theories that have ground, I just feel like it being Bellerante is too easy. And even, I don't know, like, yeah, he's being set up as kind of like a fun character. He's kind of funny. Mm-hmm. Like, we're being endeared to him, but I don't know. It could happen. I could be wrong. Next chapter, that could be revealed. Bellarente is silent majority. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I just feel like it's something that we can't even really figure out. Like we don't even have the tools to figure out who it is within the story.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, and I'm kind of in a similar headspace with you on that. All right, so next up is kind of a fun, just like what if one, and this is, I think, probably like 99% likely not the case at all. Yeah. And even though the Reddit post itself, which will be flashing on the screen for the YouTube version, kind of says as much, right? That this is kind of a complete reach. But it's a fun one to think about that me and Kate stumbled upon, and we'd like to talk about it at least briefly. What if it was Hisoka that fell prey to Hellbell in the past from the Dark Continent? Again, the Reddit post will be flashed on screen for the YouTube version. So there's some like extremely scarce evidence that this user provides, whose user is Accomplished Bill 93. So just the fact that the snake's prey is infected with a homicidal desire, and Hisoka is very much a homicidal figure in a lot of different ways. Yeah, that would check out, right? Like with how like bloodlusty he can be. And again, he's also kind of a snake metaphorically, which is a kind of a fun one to think about. Like he betrays pretty much anybody to entertain his desire.
Yeah.
You know, Phantom Troop, Illumi, in a way, if you want to like interpret that as such. Machi, things like that. There's a big reach that this user kind of puts out there is like his design. He says a big part of his design throughout the manga, he had a spear as a stomach, which is reminiscent of the spear that connects the snake's head to the rest of the body. Yeah, he says it's out there, so I give him some slack on that. And then we know that 5 calamities were brought to the human world before. We've been shown examples of their presence in our world. We know that Ai is Nautica. The Rung corpses are their indirect cause. We have in custody the Zobai disease. We have yet to see Brion and Pop. But I believe that, he says, I believe we have seen Hellbell's doing, and that is Hisoka himself. That being said, there's an issue with the theory, in that Hellbell has tons of victims and only 11 survived. So unless Hisoka is unrecorded and was stung by it in the past, it may be entirely incorrect. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Again, kind of a complete reach, but I think it was a really fun one to think about. Like, man, what if? That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a neat one. It is a neat one. And there's actually another Hellbell thing we'll talk about later, which I also think is kind of cool to think about.
Surprisingly, with all my research I've done for this episode, there are a lot of Hellbell theories out there, and I never realized.
You'll find a lot of theories about the 5 calamities out there, just because we don't know. A lot of them are unaccounted for, so it's kind of fun to think about, like, if anybody we've seen is a victim of them. Yeah,
for sure. Next up, we got a kind of another fun one to think about. May or may not be likely, but the theory is that Bezeistem and Kanzai are actually like additional traitors to the Zodiacs. Now that may sound crazy, if you kind of don't think about it too heavily. But this, as a Skyness on Reddit, put it in his post. There could be some credence to this possibility. And he says this was found in a interesting discussion on a Japanese forum. So Bezeistem's name is an anagram, meaning that kind of, I won't go into the specifics of it, but it essentially means don't consider innocent. Now at face value, you could, interpret that as being related to his like crime hunter kind of nature, his net ability, things like that, right? This person says, on the other hand, though, look at the cover of Volume 30. And I don't know if maybe we want to flash a picture of Volume 30 on the screen for this. I'll leave that up to, the editing, I guess.
If I remember.
Sure. Apologies if that doesn't happen for the YouTube people. But if you look at Volume 30, Sayu and Pearson are holding hands behind their backs. So, that implies that they're tag teaming, right? Which we know that Sayu is the traitor from Kurapika's dowsing chain, right? At least in regards to working with Periston and beyond. Notice Jing, Bezeistem, and Kanzai. They have their hands in their pockets, all of them. This is a Japanese idiom for concealing one's hand, and in English means keeping cards close to the chest, right? Here's Kanzai with another hand in his pocket. I think there are images attached to this post. I can only find one, and it was related to the very bottom, so.
Huh, interesting.
Apologies. Yeah. His name, but the point is that Kanzai's name is also an anagram meaning falsification, because you can rearrange it to a Kaizan, like with his letters.
Kaizan.
Or Kaizan, yeah. Sorry. When Kurapika asked Bizai if there were Nen users who could erase and alter memories, he said no. But in the panel, in the panel within that same conversation, he is breaking out in a cold sweat. And the direction of the ox and tiger in the zodiac represents the demon's gate. And in Japan, that is the direction where the demons come and go, the direction that brings misfortune. And is the role of the monkey to block it and prevent misfortune. So, essentially this is all like various different ways to show that Bizai and Kanzai might be affiliated with Sayu even, and might also be traitors unknowingly to Kurapika and the rest of the Zodiacs. So, I don't know how likely it is. It could be just, especially with Bizai's like anagram thing, like, don't consider innocent. Like, it could just be entirely likely it was named that because of his Nen ability, And that's a very Togashi thing to do also, which is why I don't really put much stock into that, because, Togashi named a man Broccoli and he looks like broccoli, so I don't know, guys. Yeah.
But it could be the case. Who knows? It's an interesting one to think about, and I think it's well thought out, at least.
It's interesting also specifically when you think about that, like, Bizai has been written specifically as a very endearing character, like, intentionally for quite some time now. So it wouldn't be the most out there thing in the world also to kind of like flip that on its head out of nowhere.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, could also lead to Kurapika being even more stressed on the boat if that was to find out that, one of his closer friends among the Zodiacs was betraying him this entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, something to think about. Food for thought. And I believe, so we're going to do one more for these kind of internet theories. This is a fun one to think about. Probably won't spend a whole lot of time on this one. Gon is a monster from the Dark Continent. And I will, we'll flash the Reddit user that I found this one from on the screen as well. Kaige Joe Biden. Thank you for your theory 3 years ago.
Oh, man.
Gon is a monster from the Dark Continent, a beast of pure Nen that attaches itself to other creatures and becomes a clone of that person. The reason Gon doesn't have a mom and Jing is distant from Gon. The monster attached himself to Jing while he was on the Dark Continent and was too powerful even for Jing to destroy. And Jing ended up bringing him back, leaving him quietly with Bito, and didn't want him to become a hunter because he didn't want his power to manifest. I believe when Gon is fighting Pito in Khmer Ant, and when he loses control before turning into adult Gon, he manifested into his true form briefly when he was that demonic-looking black and white mass of Nen. It also explains Gon's inhuman amount of Nen, and when Wing realized Gon's true potential, he was terrified of him. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I think it's, whether or not we believe it's a different story, but it is an interesting thought.
Yeah. I think, I don't really think there's a whole lot of, base for this theory, because it's kind of really out there. But I wanted to throw that in there as, kind of a little acknowledgement, because, oh, man, what if? What if that was even close to true?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's wild. Thank you, Kaige Joe Biden.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I believe that's about it for the internet theories. I think it's about time that we probably move on to the grand finale, which will be our community theories. I think this one will be a fun one. Some of you has some really creative stuff that I can't wait to talk about.
Yes.
And even a comment from Caige's Reddit posts containing the slides from our last episode. So, shout out to all the Redditors that interacted with that post. If you are watching this one, thank you.
Yeah, we probably got a lot of new viewers from Reddit, so welcome aboard.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed those slides. Caige put a lot of effort into them.
I did indeed.
So this section will be in addition to and separate from the regular community comment highlights, which we'll still go over at the end of this episode. So just a heads up to that. This isn't like combining the sections. Yeah, some of you have really creative theories. I think it's going to be pretty fun to talk about. For the ones that have entire lists of theories, I'm talking some of you posted 20 theories in one comment. We really appreciate that, like genuinely. Like that's awesome. Thank you for giving us content to talk about. That being said, for those specifically, we might not have in-depth discussion for every single theory, just for the sake of time. We're already over an hour and a half, it looks like, for this episode, or about an hour and a half. So just for the sake of time, might not be the most in-depth discussion for some of them. But at the very least, each commenter and their theories will be flashed on the screen as we go for the YouTube version. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So this first one I want to go over is actually a comment on our 5 things you missed in the anime episode. But it feels applicable here, even if Broly is very confident that this theory is correct. This is from Burly Bronzestyle, one of our regular viewers of the YouTube versions of the podcast. He thinks that Maha, who was actually Zig, brought back the Calamity Eye, which ended up being Nanika.
I at least agree with half of this. I just don't know why you think Maha is Zig exactly, but he could be.
Yeah.
But I definitely do think Zig at least was responsible for bringing back Ai.
That's the only connection I can even think of how I even, became a part of the Zoldyx in some way, shape, or form, So, yeah, I think that part is pretty likely. But yeah, how Maha is Zig.
That part seems a little random to me, but if you want to elaborate, Broly, feel free.
Yeah, I'm very curious why you think that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Thank you for the theory, though, even if it wasn't intended to be for this episode. I feel like it was a good one to include.
Also, technically, it wasn't even a theory in his eyes, at least. He's pretty confident in this one.
Yeah. I respect the confidence, though.
Yeah.
That's legit. Yeah. But yeah, well, we'll see if that ever comes to fruition, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
Next up, we have the comment from the Reddit post, actually, from Mythical Tenshi. And I know Kaige is a kind of a... I don't know if you're a big fan of this one, but I know this is a fun one for you specifically.
I love this one. Yeah, it's cool.
So just to read it word for word. A theory I have for Tyson's Guardian Spirit Beast ability is that it'll involve her role-playing group. Izunami speculates that the aura it collects over time will most likely be used all at once for a very powerful effect. He compares this to how Genki-Dama is used in Dragon Ball. I think that it'll transfer all of that aura to the role-playing group under specific conditions in a powerful combination of emission, manipulation, and enhancement, turning them into Tyson's own sort of Ginyu Force, so to speak, which also happens to have 5 members.
Love it. I'm a huge Dragon Ball. I look short.
Yeah.
But a huge Dragon Ball fan, so I love this a lot. I think that is a very, very fun idea.
I don't know much about Dragon Ball, admittedly. Kaige likes to give me crap for that a lot. But I have heard and seen of Ginyu Force. I don't know what they're about, but that's just a fun idea. I like that. And I like how it kind of ties into just the Dragon Ball references made along with Tyson's group. So
yeah,
that could be fun to follow up on.
Thank you for that, Mythical Tenshi. I really, really love that theory.
Yeah. Next up, we got one from Page Max. Simply put, we are getting another Rihan Yap Fest in chapters 406 and 407.
I'm going to remember this because if he gets this right somehow, wow. What a bold claim. Just saying, 406 or 407, we're getting another Rihan Yap Fest.
Page Max, I promise you, if you land either of those chapters, like with that prediction, you will get very high praise and recognition on that chapter discussion episode. So
yes,
yeah, I'm curious to see if it'll come true.
Very bold.
That being said, regardless if it's on those chapters, I hope we get another Rihan Yap Fest.
I'll riot if we don't.
Yeah, honestly.
I want 4 pages of him yapping.
It's destined. It has to happen, right?
I hope.
Okay, so next up is a theory from Ultimate Power 01. He says, surprise, and this was on the episode with the everything you should know going into Hunter x Hunter.
Yep.
With the slides. Surprised there was no mention of the king's room with pods and the same number of the princes. Or with the same number of the princes. Besides wanting to be a legend in history, he has a hidden agenda regarding the succession war. My theory is that he intends all of the princes to die, and he absorbs their nen beasts and becomes a supreme king of sorts.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It could be. That is a very peculiar room, and only Nasubi and his butler seem to know about it. So maybe an ulterior motive. I don't know, but it is interesting. And also, yeah, I do have a lot of regret for not including that in the slides there. That would have been an easy detail to put in Nasubi's section there, but it just slipped my mind for a second. We've only seen it the one time so far.
That being said, there might be some credence to this in that isn't it shown to be 14 coffins within that room,
Yep.
right?
There's 14. Mm-hmm.
So
not 13.
Yeah. Depending
Yeah.
I do think there is a viewpoint you could have in that maybe one of the coffins is intended for himself.
True.
But that is a fun idea to think like maybe he has an ulterior motive to be a king forever.
Yeah, maybe.
Very very simple kind of plot line to have for an already king, right? But yeah.
Another Dragon Ball similarity. That's a lot like Frieza's goal.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, thank you, Ultimate Power. That's a good one. So next up, we have our first list of theories, and due to the nature of this one, I think we'll be going over each of them, just because there isn't a lot of detail for each of these theories. But we're gonna acknowledge all of them. This will be on the screen as well for the YouTube version. This is from Lotusium. Apologies if I got that wrong, but he has predictions for the next 20 chapters. So he thinks all of this could at least happen within the next 20 chapters. First up, Morena captures Borkson. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, could happen.
It could happen, yeah. I don't really have much to say about it, though, unfortunately. Second, Melody meets Serenich, who already knows about the Sonata of Darkness.
It's interesting. I wonder why you think that, but that is interesting. I mean... Obviously, the two will meet, but it's the part about knowing about the Sonata of Darkness that's interesting. I wonder why he would know that.
Unless it's inferring that he kind of already has, intuitively figured out how it works, which could be a fun little thing, I guess, to happen, Whole potential thing of Serenich. I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting one, at the very least. 3, Tyson gets killed. Glad we're all on board with that possibility.
Yeah, it just feels like it's coming.
Yeah.
Hard to put into words why. Just kind of feels like it.
4, Hulkenberg becomes ruthless towards his siblings. I think that's already been shown to be happening.
I mean, the upper siblings, yes, but I really don't think he's going to turn on the younger ones. That would be a huge character shift for him, but...
There is something to be said about, he could be going down a path of succumbing to this power in general. Maybe that kind of changes things.
Yeah, that could be his arc. It's certainly possible, but I'm a big Hulkenberg fan. I don't want to see him go too dark.
Yeah,
I
understand.
We'll
5, Bisky and Verge rom-com. Yes, please, absolutely.
Yeah.
I need more comedy from that. That's funny. 6, Zakuro and Lynch find Crollo.
And what would they do?
That's the one thing. It's like, I don't know.
Because they already got their ass kicked by Hisoka. I don't know. And I mean, hey, if we're rolling with the Crollo Hisoka theory, then they already found Crollo. But
yeah,
that's not true.
It could be like a running gag, I guess. Like they try and find
they keep finding important people and getting their asses kicked.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
It'd be funny for sure. But I don't know. Also, it would be kind of a waste for people with as cool of nen abilities as they have. So I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah.
7, Rihan and Balls die, and Benjamin is severely weakened. I think he meant to put severely there, but
severely interesting. Yeah, severely weakened. Yeah, that would be heartbreaking. I love Balls and Rihan.
Yeah, poor Benjamin, man. Yeah, losing all his men.
Yeah, losing Balls would be huge for Benjamin, though. That would he'd be pissed.
Yeah, I wonder how he would die. Also, that's another question.
That's Rihan is definitely destined to die, probably pretty soon, to be honest, though. But
We need another Yacht Fest first, please.
yeah, get a Yap Fest in, and then you can die.
Yeah. 8. Seawater seeping into the lower decks. Ooh.
That'd be wild. That'd be an interesting development.
It would be wild. This could tie into a theory for the very end of this section.
I'm excited to talk about that one, yeah.
Yeah. 9. Sarah Hell's death and Woble's Nenbeast reveal. Okay. I mean, yeah, it could happen. That's about as much as I could say about that. I don't know. I actually don't think we'll get Woble's Nenbeast reveal even in these next 20 chapters.
It's a gamble.
But it is a bit of a gamble.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't feel like it's coming anytime soon necessarily, but it might be sooner than you think. You never know.
10 is an interesting one. Morena kills a spider.
Yeah, I definitely could see that happening. We haven't really seen her as a combative though. I don't know if she has like another ability even. She might just have contagion.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It'd be a cool twist to know that, like a spider dies not from Hisoka's hands. It'd be a fun one.
Well, yeah, I think that's definitely happening. I think some mafia member from Haley is killing one of them.
I see. Yeah, you're confident in that then. Huh. Okay. I'm not as confident, but I could see it happening. 11. Silent majority user reveal. Plus Kaiser affiliation reveal.
Yeah, that's a lock.
Yeah, I think it'll
If
happen.
Kaiser is affiliated with anybody, I think some people put too much trust in Melody's assumption there. I feel like it is also possible that he's genuine, but maybe not. We'll see.
Only time will tell. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
12. Soon Bean kills a Haley member, plus Kenny Wang ability reveal.
Maybe.
I'm not so confident that Wang has an ability, in all honesty, but he could.
He might. I feel like he probably does personally, but he might not. I don't know.
Hard to say.
I mean, Henry does.
Yeah. True. That's fair.
Soon Bean will do something, I'm sure. He's definitely being set up a little bit.
Absolutely. 13. Serenich kills one of the have-nots. Hey, listen, I mean, if there's any one of the princes that'll kill one of the have-nots that are trying to curse them, I think it'll be Serenich.
That would be really funny.
So, you know what? You got that. I believe it.
Yeah.
14 kind of ties into one of my theories from the theory pitching.
Yeah.
Fugetsu commits suicide.
Yeah, that seems to be a logical conclusion for her right now, unfortunately, as sad as it is.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. There might be some unplanned or unknown to us planned thing for Fugetsu.
Yeah. Hard to tell, but something sinister at the very least is being set up for her. So, unfortunately, I could see that happening.
Yeah, good stuff there though.
Yeah, pretty good theories. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see if any of them end up being right.
Yeah, we'll be keeping track, or try to. Next up, we have a Celsius Cold. Would be crazy if a 2-on-2 was to happen, such as Kurapika and Hisoka versus Crollo and Serenich in the upcoming chapters. Oh
in
my
the upcoming chapters? Yeah, that would be crazy.
To say the least, yeah. Let alone Crollo and Serenich teaming up. Like, how would that even happen?
That's... I don't know if that would be something that Crollo would want to do, but never know, I guess.
That would be a crazy fight, to say the least, though. Like, I can't even imagine how that'd go down, you know? Like,
yeah. That, if it were to happen, is very far away, though. I do not think... To say it would be crazy to happen in the upcoming chapters is an understatement. I think that's nuts, like beyond belief.
You know how much stuff we'd have to get through to set up that moment, dude? Let alone the fight actually happening. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but that'd be cool. That'd be crazy. You're right.
Yeah, definitely would be crazy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the theory.
Yes.
So, we actually have 2 different comments from This Is Me 2014. Thank you for leaving the comments. This user specifically has gone back to many videos of ours from the prior episodes on the YouTube channel. So, Thank you for that. We were able to get a couple things from him. So, I believe this was from one of the prior videos. I can't remember which one.
These might both be from volume 36. I'm not sure though.
We'll go with that. Apologies if we get it wrong though.
Yeah.
First up, it's a theory that Hisoka killed Neon after the fight with Chrollo, so that Chrollo can't use that ability.
Why or how would Kurapika allow that to happen? That was my question there.
Yeah.
That seems like wildly incompetent on Kurapika's part.
I get it at the same time though, because there is an implication that Chrollo just cannot read fortunes anymore. So like, what could have happened, right?
I mean, yeah, that ability was erased from the book, so it is implied that she died. But I just feel that something's off there, because how would we not have had that mentioned yet? Like, especially if she was like assassinated, then you'd think Kurapika would be beating himself up, and Basho, about it, because that's their job, and that means they failed royally to protect her.
Yeah, I think it's left open-ended for a reason. So I think it's likely that she's not dead. That being said, we have no way of really knowing, so that's why it's a theory. But that's a cool thing to think about. So
it is, yeah, and that's definitely something Hisoka would do. It's just I don't know if he could.
Yeah. This next one this is 2014 though, is from the volume 36 recap episode, and Kaige specifically wanted to save this for this episode because of this is I believe also a really popular theory that you might be able to speak a little bit more in depth on.
Yeah.
Saying you should also watch the theory that Chimera Ants, or the Chimera Ant kind of situation in general, was Pariston and Beyond's plan in order to kill Netero. Oh man. So Kaige, do you want to kind of take it away to kind of briefly discuss the theory?
So it's I don't exactly remember all the details. This is something I've followed for a while because I think it's super interesting. I don't necessarily believe it, but I think it's an interesting thought that Pariston and Beyond were kind of working together for a very long time, which is implied already. And that the whole Chimera Ant thing was orchestrated. Like the Chimera Ants would have been brought by Beyond to Kakin, and then it started there. It's interesting, and then that spiraled into Netero losing or dying, but it also it just makes you wonder how that's such a crazy gamble that can you really premeditate all that?
Yeah,
Netero is not guaranteed to die from that. It did happen, and it's a likely outcome, I suppose, but it's too risky, and you also risk actually wiping out the entire population of the world, for real, and that is definitely not what they want to do.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing to look that far in advance for in terms of the outcome you're looking for. That being said, though, there's two things I like in kind of relation to this theory, because it's kind of ironic when you think about it, how Netero's dying words were the whole don't underestimate humanity, and you know nothing about humanity to Miram, when the ironicness, if this theory were to be true, is that Netero himself underestimated how ruthless humanity could be. That's a fun one to think about in relation to that, right? But also just the fact that how did the Queen Chimera Ant just kind of show up out of nowhere on the NGL? There was no real explanation ever given for how it just kind of washed up on shore one day, So
yeah,
could have been planted for all we know.
That's very true. Yeah.
So
there's definitely evidence, and I think it's really interesting. I just with things that are this huge, I try to rationalize it and poke holes in it if I can, because I don't know. I want the theory to improve.
Yes.
So let's see. Who knows? You never know. Maybe that theory will become iron as a wall someday.
Yeah, we do know Pariston has even more Chimera Ants in waiting, to be used potentially. So maybe it could wrap back around to that one day. We'll see. Kind of one to keep our eyes on, I guess, but it's a fun one.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Final Form Keith. Thank you for leaving a comment as always, man. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
I think troop members are about to start dropping. Even if we just get 20 chapters in this batch, I'm thinking we get at least 2 spiders dead. Semi-random guesses on who they will be. 1, Franklin. 2, Finks. And I think we will finally get a Nobunaga Nen reveal.
I agree. Not necessarily with the picks of who will die, but yeah, I agree with all that. I think probably 1 or 2 deaths coming up.
2 deaths within 20 chapters would be massive. That'd be so
I'm
crazy.
thinking more so 1 personally, but yeah,
Yeah.
it could be 2, I guess. I don't know, though.
Imagine
Franklin's a good pick. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah. At the same
'Cause
time,
he's on his
though,
own.
Yeah. But they did, Group B, or Team B, as we like to call them, did mention about potentially linking back up with Franklin in order to.
That's
get to the
true.
higher
They might
tiers.
even be on the way to do that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, not bad picks though at the same time. So I think
Finks especially. I could definitely see Finks being the one to die from the Team B.
Yeah. I could see it as well. I'm still gonna go with Nobunaga being the first death though, personally, because I think that
It'd break my heart, but
would,
maybe.
yeah. All the more reason Takashi would pick him.
Yeah.
I think also it's important to think about like the last 2 spider deaths we had that Hisoka killed. They were, as much as I kind of liked Shalnark especially, they were both kind of, I don't want to say nothing members, but like they definitely weren't the most prominent troop members.
Yeah.
Him and Kortopi. So I think Nobunaga would be a perfect follow up to that.
True.
All right, moving on though. We have a comment from Edokava6723 with 3 different theories. 1, Luzurus is actually very smart and manipulative. His Nen Beast power being based on deception is foreshadowing. So
I like that.
yeah, you think maybe he's kind of putting on a front then for like the whole like, he doesn't think he'll win, not taking it seriously. Huh. Interesting to think about. Yeah.
Even like tricking his guard team even.
Yeah, potentially.
Maybe.
Use of drugs especially. Yeah. I like the idea.
Yeah.
2, Terror Sandwich, as I found out recently to be a very popular way to name Serenich on the internet,
Yeah.
will kill Hulkenberg. His ability being able to change the future is the perfect counter to the unstoppable arrow.
true.
Hulkenberg bets his life on each hit as a condition. So he's saying basically he'll try and fire an arrow at Serenich, I guess, and he'll casually dodge it because of his ability, and it'll kill Hulkenberg as a result of missing.
The only hole here I see is like I don't know why Hulkenberg would try to use it on Serenich. That seems counterproductive.
A little, yeah. But
maybe.
I like the idea though that like his ability is what causes Hulkenberg's demise. Yeah.
That's fun. It definitely is a perfect counter. It's just that situation needs to be set up properly.
Agreed. Yeah.
For it to be a counter.
And 3, Hisoka is just Hisoka. If you know, you know.
I'm with you.
I'm with you on that one for sure. Yeah. Not to say the opposite couldn't be true still, but I do believe that it is just Hisoka.
Yes.
Simply put. All right. This next one is a very long list of 20 theories from Mad God Prince. Really appreciate it because a lot of these are like pretty in depth too. So I really appreciate the discussion. We'll read through all of them. We have some specific ones we want to talk about more, so just apologies for that in advance, but we'll at least read all of them. Got the first one. Kurapika's partnership with Tubepa starts out well, but ends in disaster. Okay. Yeah, I could see a falling out between those two being like a plot line of some sorts, or like a dissolving of the partnership if it's, one of them isn't over their heads, or specifically Tubepa, I guess. I could see it. I think Tubepa will be. I mean, I feel like that's where we're gonna pick right. Like, we're gonna pick right off from the last chapter. I feel like going into this next one with the Tubepa and Kurapika partnership.
We're gonna learn the details of the contract he signed. I'm imagining.
So, yeah, I guess we'll see. That's an important one to kind of keep in mind going forward. I think it could be relevant. 2, Mazystem commits to not informing Kurapika about the spiders. Kurapika doesn't find out they are on board until late in the arc. Yeah, that's a safe guess.
But I also think Hisoka could throw a wrench in that. But
yeah, we'll see. Yeah. 3, Beyond was the one who brought back the Chimera Ant Queen, who gave birth to Meruem. It was all their plan with Pariston to go to the Dark Continent. Yep, we just touched on it, so not really much more to say about it. But
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. 4. This is an interesting one. Fugetsu succumbs to her curse and is the next prince to die. Upon their death, Kacho's guardian spirit beast also dies as it no longer has someone to protect. This frees up Melody to take up employment with a different prince. She uses her invitation from Serenich to perform for him as an opportunity to seek employment with him. Serenich uses her invitations from the other princes as an opportunity in order for her to spy on those princes when she goes to meet them in order to test her loyalty.
Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely could see her trying to go to Serenich with nowhere else to go. Just thinking that like maybe she can be of some assistance to Kurapika's mission there. Mm-hmm. It's a cool one.
Just in general, we know that Serenich does have some sort of fascination with her Nen ability specifically, let alone just
kind of all the princes do though, which is the thing here. Like they're all pretty interested in it, but I suppose him in particular, it's a little more.
There was a
deep
focus on him because, like, if you remember, like after that song was done playing, like he was like, "Man, the world of Nen is so fun," you know, like he got enamored by it. So I could see it. I could definitely see it. 5. Another interesting one, kind of a wild one.
This one's wild, yeah.
Chrollo is related to Queen Oito, but only Oito knows this. This fact gives Kurapika an advantage over Chrollo for when they next meet, but also makes them more conflicted since Oito would not forgive Kurapika if he caused her family harm.
Yeah, that's this would be a wild card if this were our theories. This is crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen because it's like actually insane to me.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting dynamic it would cause, though.
It would be.
Suppose.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting if that were to be the case, but that's wild.
Mm-hmm. Crazy one.
Yeah.
6. Hisoka, the real one, finds out about Kurapika and meets him before the troop does. They resume their give-or-take relationship that they had in the York New City arc. Hisoka gets Kurapika into helping him deal with the Mafia, and plus the troop, while Kurapika gets Hisoka to help deal with some of the more troublesome princes. So kind of a combination theory between like what me and you had.
That last part I don't like, but
I think I still think if Hisoka does have any involvement with the succession contest or the princes, it'll be of his own accord, not through Kurapika.
Yeah, Kurapika wants to force a stalemate. I don't know if maybe you forgot that detail, or if you think Kurapika is going to have like some kind of shift in his mindset, but that does not sound like a thing Kurapika would do to send Hisoka to kill princes.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. The only thing I could see is like maybe if there's like assassination attempts on Wobble or something, and rounded up Hisoka somehow to helping with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Even then, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll help him out in that sense.
I think if anything, he would have him help with information gathering with Serenich, and that's about it.
Yeah. Give and take with information specifically.
Yeah.
I think that'd be the more likely case.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, everything else I completely agree with. I pretty much said the same thing earlier, in fact.
Yeah. Speaking of Hisoka, this one's just funny. Hisoka's swing goes through the roof if he ever meets one of the more powerful princes, and he temporarily suspends his Phantom Troop hunt to go after a strong prince. So, just a note on it. Remember, he's assuming he's keeping his promise with Henry. He's not going to actively seek out the troop right now. That being said, I do think if he senses Hulkenberg's aura go off, his swing will go through the roof all right.
Yeah,
that's possible.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see more of Hisoka.
Yeah, I hope he gets a decently big focus in these upcoming chapters, because I'm curious as to what he'll be up to in the first tier.
Yeah.
8. Serenich has his first direct confrontation with another prince, which ends in Serenich's victory. I mean,
yeah.
It could happen.
That's probably common. I could see it being maybe Benjamin, maybe Hulkenberg. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, interesting.
I do see that happening, though. Hulkenberg will have a one-on-one with one of the other Nen user princes.
9. Since we had the massive Phantom Troop backstory not that many chapters ago, there won't be another major flashback of any kind for some time yet. That's a safe guess.
Yeah.
10. Parison's underworld connections that Mizai theorized about manifests as a previously secret alliance with Morena.
Certainly possible. I think that's a cool one to think about too.
That could be an interesting way to get Periston's group in general involved in the mix if they are on the boat. So, hey, you know what? Fun one to think about.
Yeah.
11. Several of the Zodiacs, aside from Kurapika and Leorio, die before they reach the Dark Continent. Perhaps due to Beyond escaping, perhaps due to Sayu's betrayal, or perhaps due to a confrontation with one of the princes or with the Phantom Troop. So,
Yeah,
several of the Zodiacs will die. Interesting.
If what I said happens with the Zodiacs, then I could definitely see some of them biting the dust. But I kind of feel like it's not the right time to kill off Zodiacs. But never know.
You never know, for sure. That being said,
yeah.
if they all do manage to live on the boat, I fully expect several of them to start dropping dead on the Dark Continent. So
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Or even before, like, at the gates or something,
It's also funny that you excluded Kurapika from that, because I honestly feel like of all of the Zodiacs, he might be the most likely to die on the boat. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll see, I guess, though.
Yeah, we'll see.
12. One of the Phantom Troop members will be imprisoned by Botobe and Bizaistum.
Botobai,
my bad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe I could see maybe one of the troop members being like letting themselves get caught, to
Maybe Franklin.
Maybe, yeah. That'd be a good one, actually. 13. Oh man, this one is interesting. The Gone volume cover art isn't false advertising. There will be a small scene / update about Gone's situation in the upcoming chapters.
Maybe. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I try not to even think about that possibility because I don't want to cry.
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be like a very pleasant surprise either way if that does happen, So,
yeah.
Like, oh man. Yeah, so I try not to think about that as well. But you can't help but think about the what if.
I know. I hope we see our boy again, but I don't know. We'll see.
14. The next chapters are less dialogue heavy than the prior ones. This is partially why Tagashi has made good pace with his Twitter updates. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't...
Unlikely, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think there's really Yeah, I don't know if that's the reason why he's made such good pace. I think he's just maybe having a better, healthier habits in terms of his drawing. But
it's also probably just very motivated right now, out of nowhere.
Yeah. 15. One of the Zoldycks is hired by a prince for an assassination. Woo-hoo-hoo.
That's a cool one.
That's a very cool one.
That would be very fun if that happened.
Oh man, I don't know how that would happen necessarily, but like
they could get there. I'm sure they have their ways.
They are the Zoldycks. That's true.
Actually, Zeno could just ride his dragon.
Oh wait, I forgot he has that. No, yeah, you're right. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair play. 16.
Yeah, that'd be very fun.
Yeah. 16. Silent Majority strikes again. For the last time. Its next attack ends in the user's revelation and arrest/death. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
I think 2 more attacks. I think 1 more, and they'll kind of like figure it out, and then the next time they'll formulate a plan to bust them.
Okay. Either way, yeah, good guess. 17. Since Nen Beasts are based on the personality / feelings of the user, and since Wobble does not really have a personality, but rather only unrefined raw urges and impulses, Wobble's Nen Beast will be the most dangerous of them all and much more abstract and primordial than all the others. Solid guess.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
I do like that. I like that.
It was said that it's based on the personality and feelings of the user, so that's an interesting one to think about, even if that's not exactly the case or what ends up happening. Yeah, Wobble's Nen Beast is kind of special comparatively to the others in that regard. So, yeah. Good call. 18. Leorio awakens a more advanced Nen ability out of desperation to save Kurapika much later in the arc. Huh. I mean, it's entirely possible. Also, there's not a lot to go off of for that to happen, but anything is possible.
It's hard to imagine how Leorio would get involved in the succession contest. I said earlier I feel like you could get involved with like the mafia conflicts and stuff, but it's very hard for me to see a route in which he gets involved in the succession contest and even learns about what Kurapika's doing. It could happen, but I can't figure out how it could.
Yep, I'm in the same boat as you. 19. Kurapika is not the last human with scarlet eyes. I see that thrown around occasionally as well. Like, what if he's not the last scarlet eyes user? Hey, it could happen,
Yeah, I think that's a fun idea.
And then finally, 20. The succession battle is the last one in Kakin's history. All potential heirs are eventually destroyed by this battle or the repercussions of this battle. So,
Then what happens to Kakian is the question. But
I guess a new royal family starts up, but I guess to me that'd feel a little anticlimactic, I guess.
it kind of would, yeah.
It'd feel like nothing would matter from that contest. But
Yeah.
I guess there is some kind of appeal to that outcome.
Yeah, it'd be neat.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for all the series, Mad God Princess. Sorry that we maybe didn't spend a whole lot of time on some of them, but got to keep it rolling.
And we are running longer than we expected, so
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you.
At Gate, do you want to try pronouncing that,
Okay.
Cage?
So Geijutsu Waka hold on. Geijutsu Wabaku Hatsuda. Geijutsu Wabaku Hatsuda. 553.
Yeah. Thank you for your comment, first and foremost. Second of all, okay, Woody and the other 4 Wobbles guards who died in the beginning, probably, was not killed by the silent majority. Many people come to the conclusion that he was due to the same cause of death, but he had a bunch of holes in his body. Those holes are way too big to be made by snake bites. Yeah, that's a very common one that people kind of point out. So
I agree also, personally.
It's hard for me to really say one way or the other. So yeah, I guess I'm not totally convinced, but I could see it going either way. Also from the same user though, my predictions in decreasing order of confidence. We're gonna try and speed through these ones probably. Maybe spend a little bit of time on a couple of them, but we're running a little bit long, so gonna try and get through this. Kurapika works as a research partner with Tubepa's Nen Beast. Hey, could be the co-pilot of the bus, like we joked about last episode.
Lizard car, co-pilot.
Lizard car. 2. Silent majority user is revealed.
Yeah.
Don't got much to say. Yeah. Talked about it plenty. 3. Theta will still be fine at the end of chapter 420.
Bold, but depends on how quickly things progress with Serenich.
Yes.
You know what? I'm actually going to say no. I don't think that's the case. I think
she will succumb eventually, but it'll be a very climactic moment, and I'm not sure if we have enough time to build for that in 20 chapters.
We'll see. That's a tough one to predict. But
yeah.
4.
Benjamin's Nen Beast stability will still be unknown by the end of chapter 420. Yeah, I mean, that's...
I hope not, but maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. 5. Hulkenberg's trial goes bad, but not catastrophically bad, for both Benjamin and Hulkenberg. Huh.
I could see it.
So maybe that leads into Hulkenberg kind of being free earlier than anticipated. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
6. Loserus goes on the offensive. Sure. I don't really... Yeah, maybe.
That is a bold one, considering what we've seen from him so far. But
yeah. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
7. Kurapika meets Hisoka and learns that the spiders are on the ship. Yeah, I think me and Cage are both of the opinion that Kurapika will learn about the troop that way. So, 8. Someone is punished by Tyson's Nen Beast for breaking the taboo.
I like this one. I agree.
We'll see that at least once before she bites the dust, I think.
Yes.
Good one. 9. A prince dies to a have-not's curse. Yeah, yep. I think it's entirely likely one of the princes will die to the have-not. Maybe Tyson, after.
Yeah, that was my prediction.
Yeah. 10. Camilla dies and stays dead. I wonder how, though.
Yeah, how? I guess maybe you kill the Nen Beast?
Maybe. But the Nen Beast only appears when she dies.
Right, so that's how you keep her dead. So you kill her, and then you kill the Nen Beast.
But the whole Nen Beast's purpose is to kill you instantly, so
Yeah, but I'm sure you can kill it. There's no way it's completely invincible. That'd be wild.
Yeah, that's fair. Hard to say.
You've only seen her use it on a pretty weak guy, all things considered. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Fair enough. 11. Sodom kills a prince and reaches level 100.
I'm not sure why Sodom in particular, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good out there guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 1 through 6, greater than 80% chance, 50 to 80% for 7 through 9, 10 and 11 are wild guesses for fun, but I could see that happening. So, yeah. Yeah, really good theories, I think. Yeah, so I see it merit in, quite a few of them. So, not bad. All right, next up. This is not going to be relevant at all for pretty much the entire series, I feel like, but this is a very fun one to speculate. This was given, this is a comment on our video just the other day that we found just in time before finalizing the script for this episode. This is from at Jordan Corgate, or Corgate Lee 9292. I apologize if I butchered that. My theory is that Jonas the Dissector is a victim of a Hellbell snake from the Dark Continent. If you do not remember who this is, because it confused both me and Kaige reading that the first time, that is the serial killer from the Hunter exams that Killua one-shotted, essentially, and ripped out his heart.
Ripped his heart, yeah. Yep. That's cool. I like that. We will probably never learn if that is the case or not, but it is a fun thing to think about.
It fits with the homicidal nature thing, and you know what? If the Hunter Association did find out about a survivor that brought back one of these calamities, then that would make sense, I suppose, to kind of keep him captured and of some use within under their thumb, essentially. So hey, you know what? Not a bad one. Very creative and outside the box, actually. So I dig it a lot.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Last but not least for our community theories. I want to say this one for last because this would be an actually crazy one, but would also make all the sense in the world. And it's from another regular listener, viewer of the podcast, Rex George Rodriguez. Thank you so much, man, for this comment. I believe that the black whale will sink somewhere at the final act of this arc. Togashi already gives us hints, such as the Cow Zodiac assessment of how the Kakin government is governing the black whale, plus the suspicious design of the top boat inside the black whale. It'll allow the mini boat to escape once the chaos in the lower levels is out of control. However, knowing Togashi's narrative style, it may not happen, but there is a big possibility. Whew.
I really like that. That would be so crazy. Man.
We've been discussing, there's just a boat for the tier 1. Why is that, And oh wow,
yeah,
they sacrifice all their lower citizens for the greater good of the royalty of the royal family. That's fitting. I can't lie. Like wow.
Yeah. Yep. That is a cool one. I really, really, really like that one. I don't know if it'll happen, like you said, but it is interesting to point out that top boat is another boat. Mm-hmm. So even if the whale sinks, that doesn't mean the top boat is going to sink. The tier 1 will sink.
That would make for a crazy climax of the arc as well. Like literally everything is on the line. Who will survive,
Yeah. It's like trying to get to tier 1, I guess.
Yeah. That ties in the whole theory from previous year as well that seawater may eventually leak into tier 5. So hey,
and I think there are lifeboats. I mean, I'd have to assume there are lifeboats somewhere, so that would also allow some more people to live.
Yeah. So that's all of our community theories. But yeah, that one was especially crazy. Thank you for that. Yeah, you guys had some really creative ones. I really enjoyed looking through all these and discussing some of them. I think on that note, we got a really good spread of theories now to kind of keep in mind going into these chapters, and I think some of them might even come true. So I really enjoyed this discussion, all things considered.
Absolutely, lots to think about now going into the new chapters. It'll be fun to see what happens and what doesn't. Yeah, definitely keep us updated if any of these theories of our listeners do, come to life. It's going to be impossible for us to keep track of every single one of these, but I congrats if your theory ends up coming true. That'll be a huge moment, I'm sure. Yeah, and let us know if it does. Yeah. Okay. With that in mind, I think it's time to go over to the community comments. Okay, so for this community comments section,
Me and Kaige will actually be alternating comments this time because I read a lot of your guys' comments already throughout the episode. So thank you, Kaige, for helping me with this.
No problem.
That being said, I'll read the first one here from, and I will note right now, we weren't able to include everybody's comments. I know that's kind of been our thing for the community comments, but we also didn't expect that last video of ours to blow up the way it did, and we got quite a lot of comments on that video.
Much harder to manage than previous videos.
Yeah, and this episode is already running long, so if we were to read every one of them, this would legit be like maybe 3+ hours. So
longer than the last episode somehow.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to avoid that. We picked out 10 to read from, so apologies if maybe your comment didn't get read, but I promise we do read every single comment on the videos. Whatever comments we do receive, whether on the video or not. We read everything, we acknowledge everything. So thank you guys for the support. Truly, it does mean the world to us.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, now first up, from Peter Morrison 8168. Togashi has an ability to create the greatest story ever told. Conditions are bad health and Dragon Quest.
Yeah, that's very funny.
I couldn't have described Togashi better myself, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for your comment, Peter Morrison. Appreciate it. All right, Kaige, do you want to take this next one?
Oh, yeah, my bad. So this next one comes from Nems566. Is it 3 6s?
5668.
Just 2 6s, yeah. 668. So glad I found y'all. This podcast is awesome. Been listening every day whilst I'm at work, and it got me even more hyped for the new chapters. Keep doing your thing, guys, and thank you for providing more great content about my favorite manga. Much love. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Again, support means the world to us. We truly, truly do appreciate the love and support you guys have given us.
Yes, this was that's awesome. That's very cool that you listen to us at work. I listen to podcasts at work, so it's cool that I'm the podcast being listened to by someone else now.
You're on the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Next up, we have green-3C34Y65VRBU. Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate the chart a lot. I totally agree that it's nice with the eyes. I mostly remembered everything I deem important, plus I'm doing a little reread right now myself. But some things I forgot badly, so I was glad to be reminded of them.
That was the goal.
Yeah. Again, Kaige worked really, really hard on those slides, so to know that it's provided a great summary to people, and it's really helped out some people. Yeah, that was the goal. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for the kind words. And by the way, while we're here, thank you to all the Reddit people who had nothing but nice things to say about it as well. That warmed my heart. I put a lot of work into that, and it was very nice to actually be rewarded for the hard work. That was surreal.
Yeah, your post is now pinned on the Hunter x Hunter
subreddit.
It
is pinned. That was huge.
So if you are curious about the slides, if you haven't seen them yet, or if you want a refresher and you want a easy way to access them, it is now pinned in the Hunter x Hunter subreddit, at least for the foreseeable future. So be sure to go check that out.
Absolutely. All right, next one comes from Harry Lynch 4224 and says, "Great summary. You earned a subscriber. Can't wait for your content when the manga comes back." Yes, we can't wait either. It's going to be a blast. Next week, guys.
Next week. Yeah, be here. Yeah, be there or be square for our, first chapter reactions and, discussion. So,
yes.
Can't wait. Thank you so much. Glad you're here for the ride.
Mm-hmm. Welcome aboard.
Next up, we got our boy Stevie84.
Let's go, Stevie.
First video with 1K views. This is improving. Let's make it 2,000. Like and comment, even if it's past that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Like and comment, even if it is about what you like eating or whatever. The algorithm doesn't care. Congrats, guys. Hope a few zeros add to this number in the future videos. Take care and keep up the good work. I am pretty sure you will improve like our protagonists improved their nen. LOL.
Thank you.
Very
so
heartwarming.
kind of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you're always very kind, Stevie, and we really appreciate the comments. So thank you much for the love and support. It means a lot.
Yeah, we always look forward to your comments. I told you that directly in a reply, but we love your comments. Always look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, Stevie. And next one comes from Kriye, one of the two. who says, yes, they'll point out that I guess, misgendered Kaluto when talking about the Phantom Troop slide. He's a male. I completely forgot about this. I really apologize. I always try to not misgender people. That is a very big sticking point of me, and that sucks that I did that by accident, but it won't happen again. I just slipped my mind.
Yeah. It happens to the best of us. That being said, I'm pretty sure I also misgendered Kaluto at some point in that video, so I also apologize for that. I do my best to not misgender people as well, but sometimes with ambiguous characters as well, especially with Hunter x Hunter, when my memory is very foggy of some characters, thinking back to like my time with the anime, which is keep in mind is years ago, since I've last like really deep dived into Hunter x Hunter, right? I just forgot, so at least in my case, so it happens, but I do apologize for that mix-up as well.
Yeah,
just wanted to get that out there as a kind of a correction.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up is from @thisisme2014. Great discussion, guys. Kaige really put a lot of effort on those faction cards. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Glad you enjoyed the discussion. We put a lot of work into that one.
And just so you guys know, my name is spelled with one I. The extra I is a stupid story. It's just I've had that username since I was literally 10 years old, and I just accidentally typed a second I, so it just stuck. But my real given name is Kaige with one I.
Still with a K, though.
Yes, it is still with a K. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for your kind comment. All right, next up.
Sorry, I keep forgetting. Yeah,
no, you're good. Thank you.
I'm so used to you reading them all.
No worries, I get it.
Next is Rex George Rodriguez, our boy. He says, "Goodness gracious, what a long episode, but pretty understandable considering the different factions in this arc. I always appreciate your efforts and will always support you despite my new busy life. One little request, though. I hope you can discuss the Easter eggs in this arc, like the real-life events referenced, the real-life events references in the infamous panel in Chapter 378, where Morena is walking down the line with the disturbing events behind her. And the One Piece reference in one panel where a straw hat can be seen on the floor while Kurapika was talking down Prince Benjamin's guard. It can only be seen in a chapter released and not the volume version. The discussion of these are on Reddit. So yeah, I would love to cover stuff like this. This would be prime, like bonus episode material if we have time on some odd weeks going
like
forward.
A break week, potentially.
Sure, break week episode. Yeah. Very good idea there. I do like it. I like the thought of doing like an Easter egg video. That'd be pretty cool. So definitely keep that in mind for a future episode.
Yeah, I like the idea as well. I also didn't know until I read this comment that there was a One Piece reference. I completely missed it, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
that it even exists. Thank you for the kind comment, though, as always, Rex. Really appreciate it.
Yes.
Next up, we got a comment from Page Max, and it's just like an interesting comment. Kenny Wang and Henry are the players we must pay attention to. Sudonke really wants to give Hisoka's location to the troop, while Kenny Wang and Henry have found Hisoka. They might use his fanboyism to lure troop members to a location where they can be killed by Hisoka. After all, Henry is the new dearest friend of Nobunaga, literally is playing with the troop.
It's interesting. That is something to think about for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely see that factoring into potentially troop deaths, especially Nobunaga. I think like Henry and Nobunaga's like newfound relationship will play some sort of pivotal role, whether or not Nobunaga dies from the hands of it or not.
It's not really something I considered going that direction, but yeah, it certainly could. All right, so next is from Lotus Viridis. It says, I appreciate the slides. This is great. And 2 weeks ahead of time is good to digest this in chunks. Haha. This is a very intricate arc. Good God. Indeed it is.
Indeed. Tagashi's really taking it seriously with having the most named characters in an arc at this point.
Yeah, and digesting this in chunks is definitely a good way to go about it, because it was a long episode, and now this one is also becoming quite long. But that's fine.
It's fine. Might not even be our longest episode after editing is all said and done. So
that's true. Yeah.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And then finally, we have Final Form Keith. Guys, you've outdone yourself this time. Holy shit. I'm not even halfway done with the vid, and this is one of the best Hunter x Hunter vids I've ever seen. I hope this blows up, guys. Seriously. Amazing job for real.
Thank you so much. And that was actually the most liked comment on the video, shockingly. So I guess a lot of people agreed. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's, again, we've said it so many times, but I can't help but reiterate it. The love and support you guys have shown us since that last video has truly meant the world to us. We didn't expect it to blow up as much as it did. And some people may not think that like only getting like a couple hundred more subscribers is like the biggest deal in the world compared to like large channels. Or like maybe some people aren't as impressed by the amount of views that it has now, but like it was such a big jump for us, and it truly means the world that we're able to have an outreach of some kind to so many people, even if just for one video. So thank you guys truly for all the support.
Yes. And thank you specifically, Keith, for being with us. How long? Maybe...
Definitely one of the first regulars.
Pretty early episode, at least. Probably not the very first one, but jumped in pretty early, so thank you.
Yeah.
And you've been with us since, leaving a comment every time. So
definitely one of the founding listeners of the podcast.
Yes, you and Rex, for sure. The earliest ones I can think of.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right. Yeah, that does it for the community comments this week, though.
So yeah, that is all we got this week. Before I round off the show, I do want to talk about plans for the future. So again, if you were from the beginning of the episode and you just skipped here to hear about, our plans, welcome, I guess, to the end of the episode. So next week, chapters are back, getting at least 20, maybe even 30. So for 20 to 30 weeks, that's all we're going to be doing. Every Sunday, we are talking about the chapter. Probably still going to be pretty long episodes, especially if we get good responses from you guys. Expand the viewer comment section, community comment section. We would also like to start getting guests on in the coming chapters. Obviously not as early as next week. That will just be me and Dylan, and probably the week after that too, I would assume. But if you guys have any guest suggestions, let us know. That, in fact, I think I'm going to make that the community post this week, since community posts are going to be a little different. I'll just throw out a community post being like, hey, any guests you'd like to see on the show? Obviously, we can't just take viewers as guests. If we do that, that would open a whole can of worms, which we couldn't really recover from. I hope you guys understand. We can't just do that. I wish we could, genuinely. I really wish we could just bring a viewer on and talk, but that would be so hard to manage in the long term. We just don't want to even dip our toes into that. But if you have any like other content creators, podcasters, whatever that you would like to see talk about Hunter x Hunter on the show, let me know. I'll reach out to people. I'm already going to start reaching out to some people in the coming weeks and seeing if we can get some guests lined up for future chapter episodes. And yeah, so you can look forward to that. But for the first couple, at least, it'll probably just be me and Dylan still. Also, some of our friends we plan to get on if they can.
Yep, we got at least one or two in mind for some personal friends that may be on the show, so keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely. So yeah, also community posts will be changing pretty drastically, except for this week. I still will have one today up, but going forward, the community post will now go up the day of the chapter on Sunday, very early in the morning. I'll put it out. Please keep an eye out for it and let us know any thoughts you have before you record it later that day. It's going to be tight, but it's really the only thing I can do because we aren't covering leaks on this channel. I'll just be straight up with you guys. I know that may disappoint some of you, but we're not a big fan of leaks, so we're not going to put out a post on like Wednesday asking for your thoughts. We want to encourage people to support the official release and read it the same day. So on Sunday morning, which I probably will go up before the chapter's out a little bit. So I guess if you're a leak reader, jump in there, whatever. But we really encourage reading the official release. So
for sure, Sunday
mornings, comment, and we'll record it that same day, and we'll read all the responses the same way as usual. It's just that you won't have a whole week to think of a response nowadays.
All that being said, though, let us know of any feedback for that. I'm sure Kaige even is still like open to changing the format of the community posts. If there's something that works better for you guys, maybe. If you guys have any suggestions on how we can handle that. The main thing is that we just do not want to be able to handle leaks. Maybe a community post like after an episode would be more beneficial. We just read comments from impressions on the last chapter in the next episode. maybe that could be an idea worth pursuing. But just for now, though, I think, Kaige's idea is the best thing that we can do. I just am kind of throwing that out there, like in the moment, as like into the void.
It's certainly an option. I just like to keep the episodes about about the chapter. It'd be nice to just unify the whole conversation, because that would mean that community comment sections would end up being, okay, let's spend this whole episode talking about this current chapter, and now let's talk about the last chapter again for however long.
Yeah, no, that's
just
a good point.
Feels a little weird. But yeah, we'll try it out. Maybe this would even be prime time to try opening a Twitter account. I don't know. I hate Twitter nowadays, to be completely real. I just don't want to manage another Twitter account. I'll talk to Dylan. Maybe we'll figure something out. But for now, community post is all we got. So be there, be square.
Yeah.
So
early Sunday mornings. Be prepared, guys, if you want to get in on the discussion.
Okay. And that's about all the show news we have. So just look forward to normal. Oh yeah, I guess I can talk a little about the format. Where it'll be like me and Dylan will go back and forth reading 2 pages just straight from the text. We're not going to show anything on screen, because I don't want to dip my toes into that either. That's a mess.
Nope. Yep.
Maybe without dialogue, I can edit it out if it's something really important I want to show on screen for the YouTube version. But just follow along with your own like digital copy in front of you. It shouldn't be hard. We're going to read literally every word, just back and forth, 2 pages at a time.
Yep. And just be aware that just due to the nature of it being a chapter discussion, some episodes may be, the majority of episodes will probably be shorter than some of these last few episodes that we've done on the podcast. We're still going to try and make it as, in-depth as we can, talk for as long as we can about these chapters. But yeah, just a heads up to expect kind of smaller episodes going forward to some degree.
But if you want longer episodes, then tell us what your thoughts were. That helps fill out the episodes.
Give us
more to talk about.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we are still shooting for about an hour and at least for each episode.
At least. So. That's the goal. Okay. So that's all we got to say. It's a lot, I know, but a lot of big changes have to happen.
It's important, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So with that, this has been the Hunter Association. Thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube for the video version. Be sure to follow, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be here the same time every week talking about Hunter x Hunter. Dylan, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, so long as they don't remove the block button feature like they've been talking about. We're not going into that, but it's at DJ Tengen still. That's DJTENGEN. I still talk about anime, manga, games, all the usual stuff. So if you're interested at all in what I'm discussing there, be sure to go give me a follow. I just posted a new thought in my media thread about Jujutsu Kaisen ending, so if you want to learn my quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, JJK's over. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
It's
all right.
Really crazy.
Yeah. You can find me at Kaige10, KIIGE10, and again, that extra I is a typo. My name is just Kaige with one I. Yep, same kind of tweets. Very inactive lately because this website is trash. Nothing. I'll be tweeting about Daima and Sparking Zero very soon. Pretty much, that's like the only thing that'll be on my mind. And Hunter x Hunter chapters.
Yeah, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, definitely go give him a follow.
Yes, I tweet a lot about Dragon Ball. All right, and that's all we got for this episode. Sorry it ended up being much longer than either of us anticipated, but that's probably good for a lot of you. So
yeah,
hope you enjoyed.
I don't mind it at all. Really.
No. Yeah, this was a very fun episode. So thank you for sticking with us the whole time, and we'll see you guys next week for a brand new chapter.
Yeah, get ready, guys. Can't wait.